Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to the Canary Cry News Talk live stream pre-stream. Thanks for being here early. We're just about to start a show in about a minute, but I want to say congratulations to Annette R63 over on Twitch for first comment of the day. Woo! Good job, Annette. Okay, folks, we're going to get the show started pretty soon here, but you know the usual. While we're getting started, take a second and like the show. Press that thumbs up button. Share it out on your social media so we can see what kind of live viewership we can lure into our den of truth. And of course, make sure you're subscribed and you got your notifications turned on. But if you're here this early, you probably got your notifications turned on. All right, everybody. Also, remember, CanaryCry.Party. If you're waiting, if you've just been taking the wait and see approach about if you should make an account and follow us on another broadcast location, you'll be sorely disappointed someday. You should definitely go to CanaryCry.Party, find one of our other broadcast locations like Rumble, Odyssey, DLive, Twitch, whatever, and just make an account, a little backup account, and follow us there, because when YouTube decides, we'll be gone. Okay, do that, and let's get ready to rumble, folks. Stay hydrated, buckle your seatbelts, let's get going.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy. You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is November 22nd, 2021. This is episode 414, 414, baby. And today, it's Waukesha Reprisal. And razzle dazzle, I'm your best buddy, Basil.
And this is Gonz, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ. Welcome to the podcast where we bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And I'm sorry, Wrong Smash made me laugh in the chat there. Gonz, make your head bigger.
Your head is too small on the screen, Gonz.
No, it's fine. It's the same size as yours.
What is this, a live stream for ants?
Ants can live stream too. We welcome your likes and thumbs up, ants.
Yes, ants are the best at making sure to like and subscribe. So, weird start, but okay. Let's see. There's a couple of things. I want to say we forgot that this week is Thanksgiving week.
Yes.
And so and also today is Gonzo's anniversary. Happy anniversary, yes. Gonzo.
Thank you. Yes. It's 13 years married life. Not easy life.
13 years. Is that an occult message you're sending?
It is. I have landed on the occult number of marriage years.
Freemason anniversary. Well, congratulations. Thank you everybody for all the kind and happy anniversaries for Gon's wedding anniversary. And also it's Thanksgiving week, which we should have thought of so long ago. Mm-hmm. In which case Wednesdays and Fridays shows are a little up in the air, but we currently have plans to do the show either regularly or a supplemental show. So I just thought we'd let everybody know that ahead of time, to be preparing, but you shouldn't be too worried. You're spending time with your family, not getting in political fights and not talking about the Kyle Rittenhouse case or not talking about the New World Order, folks. You're just enjoying some time with family this week. Yeah. Unless you do all those things and it's just kind of like a fun thing for you, then good luck.
Sure.
This is your Olympics.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's what we do here. So, speaking of which,
mind control intensifies.
Of course, the Rittenhouse case last week was the big story, but then yesterday, you know what? I had that Biden clip. I think I moved it, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Reuters.com, 5 dead, 40 injured after SUV hits Wisconsin Christmas parade. And I don't know if you watched the footage, Basil. The ones that I saw, they had blurred out some stuff.
Yeah.
So they didn't show, but it looked pretty horrific, and even the news reports were pretty traumatizing, I would say.
Totally horrible situation. And I don't know how much you wanted to go into it now. I know a lot of things are still breaking, but we certainly wanted to start out by assembling the Prayducers.
Prayducers, assemble!
That's right. Prayducers around the world are producers of the show who are committed to praying not just for other producers of the show, but just going to battle when horrible things happen. And yes, this is a horrible situation. Wisconsin has a lot of crazy town names. How do you pronounce this one?
I believe the pronunciation is Waukesha.
Okay. Yes, the Reuters headline here: 5 dead, 40 injured after SUV hits Wisconsin Christmas parade, which has a sort of an extra level of diabolicalness to it. This Waukesha is only 50 miles away from Kenosha.
Yep. And
which immediately, of course, sort of, at least for me, Gonz, sparked worries that this may have been some, related to the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict. But there's no info on that yet.
Well, there's nothing concrete there yet. They did find the guy. There's reports coming out about it, breaking like as we were preparing for the show today. Mm-hmm. And before we get into it, though, Waukesha, also known as the Shah. It's an Indian word meaning clean water or good water. Mm-hmm. Even though the person who wrote this information didn't think the water was too clean there. And it's famous for the fact that Abe Lincoln actually stayed in a hotel there.
Ooh.
Because the water was so promising.
Oh, he went there specifically for the water.
Yeah,
okay.
And it's the hometown of the famous Les Paul, who invented the electric guitar.
Classic.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a few other people there. But yeah, that's the town, and you're right, 50 miles away from Kenosha. And, there's speculations abound about why or what this might be. And, there are some weird things. So first off here, there's a report from Madison.com. Police parade crash suspect was in a domestic disturbance. So the man suspected of plowing his SUV into a Christmas parade in suburban Milwaukee, killing at least 5 and injuring 48. Numbers up to 48, had left the scene of a domestic dispute just minutes before, Waukesha's police chief said Monday. And just reports like that coming out, all sort of relating to this idea that he had a history of issues.
Somebody had put together his entire rap sheet.
Well, see, this is
and
where
it was quite extensive, spanning back to the early 1990s.
Right. There's another Fox News mirrored by MSN. Waukesha, Christmas horror Milwaukee D announces internal review of Darrell Brooks' bail recommendation. So there's a report by Fox that shows kind of the history of his run-in with crimes or with the law, and just some of the bailouts that he's had, which were pretty ridiculous in the past. In terms of just, getting off with lower fees than what would be or whatever. And another Newsweek the outlet said alleged Waukesha parade driver Darrell Brooks used red SUV in music video. So, all these weird facts coming out that, it's interesting because, of course, there's the mainstream view of this is just a tragedy. I don't think anybody in the mainstream is necessarily tying it to Kenosha and the Rittenhouse trial. But, of course, the critically minded would at least recognize, Wisconsin, really? And, just the weekend after the whole verdict and everything, not going the way of what some of these folks wanted. And at the same time, the details concerning the individual who did this in the car and some of the stories coming out of Newsweek and all these other places, it's so much fodder. It fits the mold and the pattern that the alt media have picked up on in the last few years in terms of these events and just the weird facts surrounding the perpetrator. I don't know. It just feels like my whole perspective on it is that either way, whether this was directly related or not, I think it's, in terms of the mental state of the guy or whatever, intentional or unintentional, whatever triggered this individual to do this provocation or provoking this activity, this action of driving. Because I mean, you saw the footage. It's violent. It's like you got to be kind of in a state of mind of just, I don't know, psychotic or something to do this, or just uncontrolled anger. I would say that it's, part of it has to be the mainstream media brainwashing all the stuff that we talk about here, but another part of it might be that he was provoked in a certain way to do a certain thing at a certain time, and it doesn't really matter one or the other. Like I think there's going to be evidence for both, and maybe it is both.
It'll definitely be something to keep an eye on for sure. I don't know. The details are just so sparse right now. I couldn't even begin to imagine what's going on. But as usual, initial details leave a lot to be desired and leave a lot of connections to be made on our own without the information. So is a horrible tragedy, and our main focus was to want to make sure that the Prayducers are out there on point, praying for Waukesha and the victims families and just the whole community, because it's a horrible thing at a horrible time. Yeah. Gonz, I think I accidentally blocked somebody in the chat. Could you see if you are able to undo that? Maybe on the YouTube. I think you have to do it on YouTube. I don't know. Why don't you look at that while we you might need your mind to be. Anything else on this Waukesha thing?
No, I mean, I don't want to speculate too much, but I do know that some of the info coming out about the guy who did it, I don't know. It's just easy to start connecting dots, whether they're there or not.
Yeah,
whatever side of the aisle you're on.
I don't know. I suggest we all wait for more information. Yeah,
more info. But my sort of bigger point being that spiritually speaking here, it doesn't really matter the devices and the tactics. It's, it all kind of ties into the greater understanding that, we're fallen. Everyone has problems and stuff like that. So, the sin nature, Basil.
Okay. Manifests. Speaking of sin nature, time to check in with Flippy.
Oh, gosh.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
Okay, folks, it's time for the Flippy update. And if you're new to the show, Flippy is our colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a way to explore all the new, fun, and exciting ways that robots are taking over the world and just how there's nothing we can do about it. Today, Gonz, it's a shorter Flippy, but an urgent message. I was checking in over at CanaryCry.Community. For those who don't know, that's our sort of anti-Facebook social media platform that we have for listeners of the show. But go to CanaryCry.Community, check it out, join the crowd. It's a cool place. But I was flipping around there, and we have a user over on Canary Cry Community, and the username is I am Flippy. Flippy has infiltrated our social media network. The legendary robot arm has an account there, and posted a very threatening video on the Canary Cry Community. And I thought that we should play it now, just so everybody can be aware and keep their eyes out for any more cyberbullying by this infamous robot arm. You want to play the clip?
Hello, Canary Cry. My name is Flippy. I'm here to welcome you to the New World Order. I'm here to steal your wife, indoctrinate your your children and steal your job, Basil.
Whoa, mentions you by name.
I'm targeted by name. And for those who are just listening, it's a video of a small robot waving its arms wildly as it threatens me and my job and my children and my wife, apparently. So there you go, Flippy. We've got our eye on you. We see that you've infiltrated our social media. And if anybody out there wants to go check out this video for yourself, you can just join CanaryCry.Community. Again, that's just our anti-Facebook, anti-algorithm social media network that you can join. It's moderated and managed very well by some producers. And, of course, a shout out to Smiley, who's kind of the head guy over there. So thank you very much. And Flippy, watch your back.
You know, one of the rules in journalism is to not become the story. I don't even consider us journalists.
No.
But
we are certainly not journalists.
maybe a rule for podcasters is don't become the story reported in podcasts. But
tell that to Joe Rogan.
Well, clearly you're crossing some lines too here with a direct threat to you by name from a robot who claims to be Flippy.
You know, I just got to protect myself, and one of the best ways of doing that is making the threats visible.
Okay. Yeah, if everybody knows, let him know the dead man switch.
Okay.
If this
What's
little
next,
guy
Gonz?
takes you over. Okay. All right. So we're skipping that other thing. Okay, we're going to do some transhumanism here. This is iLounge.com, and the headline is Transhumanism, How Close Are We to Becoming Cyborgs? Are you ready to become a cyborg, Basil? The reason why I wanted to bring this article today is because, first off, iLounge, wanted to double check, what is iLounge? It's an Apple outlet. So iLounge is an independent provider of information about Apple Inc.'s iPod, iPhone, iPad, digital media, blah, blah, blah. So it's based in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. So, another tie-in with the World Economic Forum and all that kind of stuff. But I wanted to bring this article because one of the things that I did early on, and we did, Basil with Canary Cry, was latch onto the word transhumanism in the SEO of the early 2010s. We really monopolized the term. Had it in videos. I had it in blog posts. It wasn't just me. Tom Horn and Derek Gilbert and Rob Skiba and many others were doing it. But I remember on YouTube specifically, I was really nailing the word transhumanism on almost every video I published, every blog post. And so if you looked up before they started to mess with the algos, if you typed in transhumanism, some of the stuff we published would pop up on the first page and things of that nature. But people weren't really talking about it. So we've come a long way in terms of the word and just the infiltration of the conversation or the topic. Again, the headline here, Transhumanism, How Close Are We to Becoming Cyborgs? By Lucy Bennett. I don't know if that's Dr. Future's wife or like his secret other side.
Okay.
I don't know. Last name Bennett. Okay. It says here, be it the Terminator, Blade Runner, The Matrix, or your favorite episode of Black Mirror, the topic of transhumanism and superhumans is something many people have been fascinated with for centuries. For the oblivious ones out there, transhumanism is a sort of ideology that promotes the merging of technology and the human body. The term is broader than that in reality, but let's keep it simple for now. First world countries like Canada, the US, Japan, and Western European countries have more opportunities to advance on this path since they are on top of Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Don't know what that is? You've probably learned it in school already, but if the memory's hazy, check out a blah, blah, blah little paper here. So how close are we as a species to becoming cyborgs? We've compiled some groundbreaking inventions that defy the present times, but the question remains. Here's the list. So number one is CRISPR technology. We don't have to get it too far into it because I think most of you all listening know what CRISPR technology is and what it does. Later, well, in the section here, with great power comes a lot of rules. The scientific community has basically banned the birth of edited embryos, meaning no CRISPR babies are allowed just yet. Science and ethics always clash and have been clashing for a while. Regulations are often fueled by religion or culture, and this is an interesting and vast topic to be discussed. So, yeah, that's that for CRISPR. Bioprinting is the second thing here. Okay, before we dish out the scientific terms, here's a brief definition of what bioprinting is. Essentially, bioprinting is the merging of biology and 3D printing technology. It's 3D printing biological material. On top of that, bioprinting is also used to create implants and prosthesis for patients who need extra and artificial body parts. Yes, we know what that all entails. Number 3, bionics. Undoubtedly, the field of bionics is an indication of how close we are to becoming cyborgs. Bionics is a field that studies biology to create synthetic body parts that serve to replace broken body parts and also serve to enhance human capabilities by supplying extraordinary capability-enhancing artificial body parts. I like how in that one sentence of bionics, it's like, yeah, synthetic body parts to replace broken body parts, but also to make you superhuman, super capacity or capability enhancing artificial body parts.
Kangaroo legs, baby.
I know. Think cyborgs and all the half human, half robot characters in sci-fi shows. Yes, the biggest predictive programming of them all has been all this cyborg man-machine stuff. The most exciting inventions we dig up in this sector: exoskeletons and a Fortis suit, which is a power suit created by Lockheed Martin. It's been successfully distributed to workers in manual labor. I think we reported on that a while ago, the Lockheed Martin Fortis suit. Our hope for the future is that these inventions become more commercialized. There you go. They can't roll this stuff out until this material or this stuff is commercialized. It's been the whole point. More for the people. However, commercializing some of these inventions may spell trouble, since they can be dangerous tools if they fall in the wrong hands. Will we see a future of regulated use of robotic body parts? Who knows? Number 4 is Neuralink. Most people are familiar with what Neuralink is. And then final words here. Overall, even though scientists and innovators alike are making huge strides in technology and medicine, we don't think humans will reach cyborg status that soon yet. But it's honestly a moot argument at this point, since we never know what the future holds. Everything is becoming modernized, and we're developing at a speed that is unprecedented. At the end of the day, we need technology to serve and help us, and not to destroy us.
Dun, dun, dun.
So, I thought this was very, I don't know, not necessarily on point. That's not the right word, but just in tune with maybe what we were suggesting about 10 years ago, coming to more or less a more mainstream audience. And at this point, I think if you're using the technology, if you're on the internet, if you have a smartphone, you know about the topic. And maybe you ignore it, maybe your friends ignore it, your family ignore it. But in my anecdotal experience, most people are aware of the topic, especially with guys like Elon Musk out there. But I don't know that everybody has made the connection with how this relates to biblical prophecy, how there's a whole narrative of a worldview with Genesis 6 and the fall of man and the Tower of Babel and all the things that we already know, especially as Christians know about, the stories of the Bible, but how it all relates to end times prophecy and the days of Noah and everything else. That's the part that I think more people in the church need to recognize. And maybe that's why we're censored, Basil. They don't want people who are looking into the topic of transhumanism to really grasp like, oh, okay, this sounds like the stuff that's written in the Bible about the future of how things are going to play out. So, because then they'll...
Not sure if that's why we're censored, but it's... Maybe they just don't want anybody speaking ill of transhumanism, because there's a whole crowd that uses the word transhuman in a positive way. Like, it's not a negative thing. And these are generally elites who are running circles, who are putting a bunch of money to try to figure out how to live forever and what is the word? What's the word?
Transhumanism?
Not transform, transcend.
Transcend?
That's what it is.
There you go.
Transcend this puny human form.
Transcend, yeah.
Transcend, yes. So, there's plenty of overlapping motivations that would certainly discourage negative talk about transhumanism, especially because it's generally regarded as a good thing in the corporate media because it's the result of science.
Right.
If you don't like transhumanism, you don't believe in the science.
Yeah, and given the timeline of how the proverbial they, want to genetically categorize us and cultivate us, basically, it really makes the whole COVID thing makes sense too. Why did we lock down? Why is there a vaccine, thing, a green passport? All of it seems to be part of the transhuman agenda, which again, that's, it's a point being made by the Dr. Medays and stuff like that, which that part I think we wholeheartedly agree with because we've been saying it for 10 years. It's just the whole, details about the nanobots and stuff that we don't necessarily agree on. But the greater picture of the transhumanist movement, how it's going, and I think the elite here also have to give it to the public, like, oh yeah, all the people that are using this technology, thank you for helping us cultivate the data we need to make this dream come true of us, moving forward into eternal lives in our fallen state.
Mm-hmm. Wow, it's just starting off the show pretty freaky deaky there, huh, Gonz?
I don't think it's any more freaky deaky than any other episode we do.
Usually we save the weird stuff for the second half.
It's not that weird, but that's the point, though. It's not like that weird to talk about this anymore. We can come out of the closet, Basil. We can wave our transhuman flag.
No. It's opposite, Gonzo.
Well, it would have the big circle with the X through it,
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. That's hate speech, but okay. That's going to get us banned, but okay. Let's jump on over to see what's going on with COVID, baby.
COVID-19, COVID-19, COVID-19,
COVID-19.
COVID-19, COVID-19, coronavirus.
Vaccine, number one way.
Let's start out with a fun clip because I think Biden finally found his stride as being president. They finally figured out something that he can excel at, and it was on display this week. Why don't we roll the clip?
I'm told the turkeys even listen to music to get used to the crowd noise. And they've interacted with children and visitors to get used to their visit to Washington. And eventually, peanut butter and jelly were selected based on their temperament, appearance, and I suspect vaccination status. No, is it? Yes, instead of getting basted, these two turkeys are getting boosted.
Oh!
Hey.
Yeah, sure.
Rousing.
I love them talking to me like this.
Laughter from the crowd.
Yeah.
This of course was the presidential turkey pardon, a sort of more recent tradition in the United States where the president will pardon two turkeys to survive the Thanksgiving holiday, not to be slaughtered and cooked and put on the tables for us to celebrate and thank God for the bounty. I hadn't really thought about it. For some reason, I just assumed that this was like a long-standing, ancient American tradition. This has really only been going on for a couple decades. For some reason, I thought that every president since Abraham Lincoln had been pardoning turkeys for the history of America. It's got this very sort of I don't know, esoteric feel to it that I thought it was something more than it was, but it's only been around for a couple decades. But, I thought that Biden was in his zone, man.
Yeah.
I think this is what he thought being president would be like, where he can just kind of like take on a folksy demeanor and make some kind of old man jokes and get rousing laughter from the audience.
Are you sure that one of the responders wasn't a turkey, like an actual turkey?
I'm pretty sure at least half of the laughing you can hear from the crowd is the actual two turkeys. That's the thing about turkeys. I don't know if you've ever been around turkeys, Gonz, but if at any noise, they will just gobble their little heads off. So yes, I think the turkeys were Biden's biggest fans for multiple reasons. But of course, he couldn't get through fun, jovial holiday tradition without implicitly threatening the unvaccinated. The vaccination status of these turkeys being one of the main reasons that they were pardoned and saved from death because of their vaccination status.
The rest of the unvaxxed turkeys is an analogy for the unvaxxed, unwelcomed people.
He couldn't even get through the turkey partying, whatever it is. Pardoning without implicitly. I don't know. It's almost
explicit. Yeah. I mean, if you really step back and look at it, it's pretty explicit. But then just his delivery in his old grandpa gentle way.
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt that he's just implying and not outright stating, just simply implying that unvaccinated turkeys will all be put to death. So that's a nice little way to start out the Thanksgiving season.
Yes.
Implicit threats from the president to exterminate the lower class of citizens, the unvaccinated.
This is and I don't have this story in the notes there, Basil, but this is a perfect time to just read this headline from the Australian news.com.au. And the headline is Germans health minister says citizens will be vaccinated, cured of dead from COVID within months. Now it's a typo. I don't know why.
Cured of dead.
I don't know why it's cured or dead. The exact quote here. Most Germans will be, quote, vaccinated, cured, or dead from COVID-19 in a few months. Health Minister Jens Spahn warned as he urged more citizens to get jabbed. So that's the real story. I wonder if the Australian news outlet was like, well, we'll make a misspelling because it sounds pretty intense. This little quote
that's
here.
Pretty savage.
Yeah. It's in the subheading, though. Vaccinated, cured, or dead.
Yeah.
I mean, that is...
What is cured? Again, they're not giving credit to, like, if you just recover from COVID, that's not being cured. You are cured by a doctor or by a medicine, but you can just recover naturally from it. They're still sort of taking out the natural aspect. Now, this might be something just lost in translation, I guess, maybe.
Sure.
I don't know, translated from Australian English.
Australian translation of a German headline or something. Or the cure has something to do with the turkey analogy, Basil. You can cure some meat.
Oh, cured like bacon.
Like bacon.
Smoked and soaked in brine.
It's all coming together. See, this is
wow.
It's all coming together.
You think about Zuckerberg and his whole smoked meats, smoked meats and cured turkey.
His sweet baby rays.
Yeah. They all see us as cattle, apparently. I think that's the point here. Okay, there's another clip that I wanted to play, and this one is from what is this from? CBS News. Gottlieb says that at some point, COVID-19 vaccines could be considered a 3-dose vaccine. And he's the former FDA Here he is.
You've already seen governors in Connecticut and New Mexico say 3 doses is fully vaccinated. Should the CDC say you need a booster to be considered fully vaccinated?
I think at some point they're going to, but not this year. I think eventually this will be considered a 3-dose vaccine, but I would be hard-pressed to believe CDC is going to make that recommendation anytime soon, in part because of this debate about whether or not younger people who are at less risk should be receiving that 3rd dose. In states where governors are looking to do this, and I think some local communities will do it, some businesses are probably going to do it quite soon. I think in cases where entities are going to mandate 3 doses for people who are 6 months out from the 2nd dose, they're doing that because they're using the vaccine as a way to control transmission and try to end this pandemic. And, you know, there are people in the public health community who don't think that that's an inappropriate way to use the vaccine, but this is a debate that's going on right now in the public health community, and CDC's sort of stuttering approach to how they've embraced boosters is reflective of that debate.
He kept bringing up this debate within the scientific community. I wonder if he misspoke right there, because he said something about the community of people that don't think it's inappropriate. I think he might have meant who don't think it's an appropriate way. But anyway, apparently within the next year, getting 3 jabs is going to be considered fully vaccinated, which doesn't surprise any of us here.
I thought we were like already there.
I thought so too. But I don't think
Rochelle
the CDC
Walensky say pretty much just that.
Yeah, I don't know that I don't know. I think they pushed the booster for sure.
Right. Maybe within a year, they're not even going to call that a booster.
Right,
it's just a 3 jab.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Jab, jab, jab.
3-dose vaccination.
Jab, 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 and then they can throw the uppercut.
That sounds fine, but as we've seen from different places around the world, they're on their like 4th and 5th booster.
Right.
Or 4th and 5th jab, so... this kind of sounds like they're just trying to fill some time on air.
Oh, trust me. I watched the whole 10-minute interview, and man, it's they're really stretching it.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, that's legacy media for you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we got a couple interesting headlines here.
Mm-hmm.
This one is loading and is coming from Washington Post. A lot of Washington Post recently. This headline from the Washington Post reads, Marine Corps compliance with vaccine mandate on course to be military's worst.
Let's go Marine Corps,
baby. What?
I said, let's go Marine Corps.
Yeah. Up to 10,000 active duty Marines will not be fully... That's a weird way to put that. Up to 10,000 active duty Marines will not be fully vaccinated against the coronavirus when their deadline arrives in coming days, a trajectory expected to yield the U.S. military's worst immunization rate. While 94% of the Marine Corps personnel have met the vaccination requirement or are on a path to do so, according to the latest official data, for the remainder, it is too late to begin a regimen and complete it by the service's November 28th deadline. Within an institution built upon the belief that orders are to be obeyed and one that brands itself the nation's premier crisis response force, it is a vexing outcome. Ooh, Washington Post is so vexed by these Marines who are not doing what they're told.
Yeah.
10,000, that's a lot of active duty Marines. You can't just fire 10,000 Marines.
I wonder what kind of geography is it, like spread around the country, or is it I'm sure there are certain clusters.
Yeah, I don't know. The holdouts will join approximately 9,600 Air Force personnel who have outright refused the vaccine, did not report their status, or sought an exemption on medical or religious grounds, causing a dilemma for commanders tasked with maintaining combat-ready forces and marking the latest showdown over President Biden's authority to impose vaccination as a condition of continued government service. Quote, Marines know they're an expeditionary force and pride themselves on discipline and being first to fight, said David Lepan, a retired Marine Corps officer and former communications chief for the service. Leadership, he said, should be alarmed that the Marine Corps ethos of always being ready for the next mission appears to be tarnished in this way.
Wow.
Why, Lepan asked. Quote, did they decide not to follow a direct order?
Oh, my goodness.
I was not under the impression that there was a direct order to be vaccinated. I mean, isn't that? I mean, look, I'm not a military man, but I respect and enjoy the company of military men in my life. I was not under the impression that it was a direct order to get vaccinated. So I think that's kind of a weird framing of that.
Well,
there's anybody in the chat who has personal experience with this.
Yeah, I was going to say, I have a friend who is in the Marine or was in the Marine Corps, and he still serves the military. And he kept sending me letters that it just, the language was always more pressing to get vaccinated than not. And I think it is mandatory at a certain. I'm pretty sure we got a piece of mail. I got to go back and look.
But mandatory is different from a direct order.
True, you're right. You're right.
A direct order is I believe, and I could be wrong, but a direct order is a very specific order that comes from a commanding officer. And it's, one thing to say, this is a direct order, get vaccinated. Because then if you don't do that, I mean, disobeying a direct order is not just like a fun thing for the Washington Post to talk about. That's like you could actually get kicked out and punished for not following a direct order.
I wonder if it is Washington Post trying to impose a certain type of we're writing about the military. Let me just have fun with the language, and
that's what it kind of. But this is coming from this LePan guy. This was a quote from the LePan guy, and the LePan guy is a retired Marine Corps officer. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just making up that difference in my head. Maybe I don't really know. I'm admittedly not like a military, never been in the military, not a military expert. But that seems like a weird way to report it from the Washington Post. Answering that question will be essential, he added. Quote, if this is somehow indicative of a problem that could arise again in the future, the Marine Corps made no secret it has struggled with vaccine hesitancy in the ranks. Late last month, officials issued an ultimatum. Okay, get vaccinated, apply for an exemption, or get kicked out. Well, there you go. That's what they're dealing with. So we'll continue to see how the military responds. I know a lot of military guys are not into it, guys and gals. But
what a great way to disarm a nation.
Totally. Who does that only benefited? It only benefits our military adversaries on the planet.
Geopolitical adversaries on the chessboard.
Yeah, if Biden were to fire 10,000 Marines, he's just like actively sabotaging the U.S.'s military force around the world.
Yeah.
But so we'll continue to follow, see what happens there.
Yep. Okay. Along those lines, in some ways, we haven't reported on something like this in a while.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Just because Runk Smash in the chat says, Basil, the sailors and Marines had to sign that order acknowledging it. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
I remember.
There you go.
Yeah, I remember there was a document that was shared.
Yeah. So maybe it was an official order.
Yeah, I think it was, or something close to it.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is stokessentinel.co.uk, and the headline here is Delta plus symptomless variant driving COVID back up to January levels.
Delta plus symptomless variant? Wouldn't that be a good thing? Wouldn't that be Delta minus?
Symptomless variant.
It's Delta minus symptoms.
Yeah. Hey, but the fear is not that you would suffer, but some of your family and friends, the vulnerable, would suffer. See, you're a bad person. This all comes back to labeling you a bad person if you're not vaccinated, if you're not social distancing, if you're not wearing a mask. It's a moral thing here. You're a bad human being.
Yes.
Coronavirus rates in England are similar to what they were in January this year, just after the peak of the second wave, new data suggests. During mid-October to early November 2021, the prevalence was 1.57%, the same as January compared to 0.83% in September. According to the data, prevalence increased between rounds 14 and 15 of Imperial College London's React-1 study across most age groups and regions. During round 15, which ran from October 19th to November 5th, there was a fall in prevalence from a peak at around October 20th to 21st. Blah, blah, blah. More numbers. There's a... okay, here it is. The data suggests all of the cases were the Delta variant or sublineages. The most prevalent was AY. I think they didn't include the full thing here. It's AY 4.2, I think. AY 4.2. Yes, AY 4.2. 42? 42?
Okay. Uh-huh.
Chris, what is this? Crystal Donnelly, professor of statistical epidemiology, Imperial College London, said, quote, it is absolutely the case that if people are waiting for symptoms to do a test and to therefore identify that they are infected and therefore cut back their contacts, being asymptomatic may facilitate transmission, for example. It is asymptomatic transition that really can make the difference between what's relatively easy, containable, and what needs vaccination. But I thought vaccines were for everybody. Regardless. Anyway, the AY 4.2 mutation, which officials are monitoring as a, quote, variant under investigation, represents 11.8% of infections. It goes on here. I think we get the gist of it here, but symptomless Delta variant, Basil. You won't even know you have it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the perfect creation. It's the perfect science media cooperative invention. Yeah. No, you'll have it, and it's very dangerous. It's Delta. You'll spread it all over the place. But it's symptomless, so don't worry. You won't even know, and it won't hurt you. And that makes you a bad person for not being vaccinated.
So wild, man.
Yeah. Just real quick, as a heads up, Gonz, I found out I can do polls in the YouTube chat.
Yes.
So just for fun, I did a poll of who would win in a fight, Basil or Flippy.
Okay.
The numbers have come in. And, I got to choose when the poll ended. And when I clicked end poll, the numbers were 33% for Flippy.
Oh.
And, 67% for Basil, which
66.666666.
Right. Exactly.
No-win situation for you there.
They kind of changed the poll numbers a little bit after I clicked end. Because it went to 67% for Basil, 32% for Flippy, which only equals 99%.
Yeah, we're the missing percent somewhere.
They took off a percentage point to make 99% and 32% Flippy. So I'm not very confident in these YouTube polls and their ability to do math.
Come on, YouTube. You guys are algo kings over there.
Yeah,
at least get the math right on the
But they just could not give it to us. They could not let us do a poll that had 33% in favor of Flippy. But thank you, everybody. It makes me feel good that you have confidence in Sheriff Basil's ability to protect us from the robot uprising. But let's get back to the real news. This is coming from UCSDGuardian.org, the University of California, San Diego, The Guardian. The headline is UCSD scientists develop sensor coronavirus detection system. Okay, we've got more detection systems. Graduate researchers at UC San Diego have developed a new system of SARS-CoV-2 detection, which can identify the presence of the virus in as soon as an hour after testing. The research, which has been published in the ACS Sensor Scientific Journal, envisions that the new rapid diagnostic tools will be usable both in one's home and in high-capacity locations such as airports. The sensitive enzymatic nucleic acid sequence reporter sensor detection system is unique because it targets the mRNA sequence of SARS-CoV-2 in a two-step process. Oh, so we have mRNA tests now. Researchers begin by photocopying, in quotes, the molecules collected within a patient's sample using a process called an isothermal preamplification reaction. This produces many DNA fragments called amplicons that have many guide RNA target sites. After the amplicons, it sounds like a variant. The amplicon variant have been produced.
Sounds like a race of alien enemy people things.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They are split apart into double-stranded DNA and single-stranded infectious RNA. The ssRNA is then isolated and analyzed via a method called fluorescence, or lateral flow readouts, to look for the presence of SARS-CoV-2 genomic sequences. Quote, basically, this technology is a method for us to take a sample from a patient and then try to detect the presence of SARS coronavirus specifically. Specifically, huh? What have we been doing all along? Said paper co-author Dan Brogan in an interview with the UCSD Guardian. Quote, we do this by initially amplifying the amount of SARS-CoV-2 to that seen in there and then detecting it by using a CRISPR enzyme. And this CRISPR enzyme recognizes the target. Oh, is this an additional CRISPR testing?
Yeah, so the one that we reported on with Bill and Melinda Gates and the Open Philosophy or Open Society, whatever it is, the Soros operation, that one is called Sherlock Biosciences.
Right.
And they have their product, the home testing kit. Remember that's the drop the chlamydia, gonorrhea, go do COVID. This is different, it looks like. But hey, maybe that's their exit strategy. These are university scientists. If they can sell this thing to whoever, Bezos, I don't know, somebody big.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure that's what they're looking for.
Yeah, they're trying to get on that government patent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good money.
Yeah. Well, okay, there you go. We've got CRISPR once again coming in to save the day.
Which, again, we reported last episode as well, how there's a new report that says that CRISPR causes cancer, or the editing of the DNA causes a certain type of defense mechanism protein to go off, and if that goes out of hand, then it creates cancer. So good stuff. Good way to test everybody. Just give everybody cancer in the process.
Well, yeah, I think that's a little alarmist. I'm not sure if this CRISPR ever comes in contact with a human being. It's just used on a sample. But, yeah, CRISPR...
Alarmist? Did you just call me an alarmist?
Yes, I did.
Mr. Robot Arms are going to take your spouse?
Actually, I didn't call you an alarmist. I said...
I know.
You are
okay, Mr.
Alarmist.
Politician. Wiggling your way around. Okay, yeah, that's... All right, fine.
What do we got next?
Okay, here we go. This is New York Times. Angry and divided Austrians argue over a lockdown and vaccine mandates. I'm so glad the New York Times is keeping us informed about what's happening in Austria. I'm sure it's not biased at all. Vienna. Daniel Zeman wasn't able to sell any of his handmade apple ginger liqueur last year during the Christmas season because Austria, along with the rest of Europe, was in lockdown. He finally opened his stand 4 days ago, only to have the government announce that Sunday would be the last day. Austria was locking down. At a time when vaccinated people were looking forward to a return to traditional holiday rituals, the decision was a blow that angered some and frustrated nearly everyone. Quote, if we have to close down in January, I understand that, Mr. Zeman said. But now it is Christmas time, all one word, Christmas time. And everyone wants to be together, to drink punch, wink, wink, buy gifts, and do things with their families, end quote. Europe is experiencing a menacing fourth wave of the coronavirus with soaring rates of infection. Is that from the non-symptomatic version of the COVID Delta? Do you know?
No, I have no idea.
Well, Austria may be the first European country to respond with a nationwide lockdown. It may not be the last. That prospect, along with increasingly stringent vaccine mandates, is setting off a backlash here and elsewhere with mass demonstrations in Vienna, Brussels, and the Dutch city of Rotterdam over the weekend, sometimes punctuated with violent outbreaks. But European leaders may feel they have little choice despite the spread of vaccines that were seen a year ago as a fail-proof way out of the pandemic. While Austria reported more than 14,000 new cases of the virus within 24 hours on Sunday, over the past week, the Netherlands has been averaging more than 20,000, while Germany has seen roughly double that number. Austrian officials' decision to impose a 10-day lockdown came after months of struggling attempts to halt the contagion through widespread testing and partial restrictions. Starting Monday, public life in the country is to come to a halt, with people allowed to leave their homes only to go to work or to procure groceries or medicines. The new COVID wave is being driven by widespread resistance to vaccines and the growing prevalence of vaccine and mask mandates. Austrian officials have said they will enforce a nationwide vaccine mandate in February, the first European nation to do so. I thought this was all conspiracy theory, Basil. The governments would have a mandatory vaccine across the country. But here we are. They're saying they're going to do it in February. The opposition to the lockdown and vaccine mandates is being fueled in part by the far-right Freedom Party.
Oh,
no,
crazy
people who want freedom. No, can't have that. Which has used its platform in the Austrian parliament to spread doubt about the effectiveness of the vaccines and to promote ivermectin, a drug typically used to treat parasitic worms that has repeatedly failed against the coronavirus in clinical trials. Oh, interesting. They dropped the horse narrative there. That would have been a very easy spot to drop in the horse, but Joe Rogan killed the narrative. They couldn't even do it. New York Times. Zigging and zagging. But the fury is not limited to far-right activists, as the throngs that filled Vienna streets on Saturday attested. The police estimated the crowd at 40,000 people, with many families and other far outnumbering the right-wing extremists. So there you go. It's not just right-wingers of the Freedom Party.
Yeah, see, notice how they didn't even need to mention the far right. Like there's no point. You know, if this was a screenplay, that scene would be cut because it has nothing to do with the main storyline. It's just they just wanted to talk about far right Freedom Party extremists sowing doubt and misinformation. But it's not just them. It's actually everybody. Nobody likes this idea.
Yeah, it's like reporting on a crowd and saying like there were 10 people of color in the crowd. It was a people of color crowd. It's like, well, no, not really.
Right.
Okay. Quote. Oh, nevertheless, many protesters brandished signs that compared the current Austrian government with the Nazis or that promoted racist conspiracy theories. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's an easy comparison to make. It's not that hard.
Quote, when the anti-vaccine scene perceives the situation as a war, the logical consequence is a civil war.
Okay.
Natasha Strobel, who has written extensively about the far right in Austria, said on a public broadcaster, broadcaster ORF, most Austrian marchers refrain from the violence. I like how they have to go back and forth with it. It's like they're violent. Yeah. Most people weren't violent.
But they refrained. But I think refrained is...
They had to hold themselves back.
It's a very specific and manipulative way to put it. They refrained as if they wanted to, but they just held themselves back for one reason or another, which is a really manipulative way to presume that, oh, yes, all these marchers, they wanted to burn down the whole town, but they refrained. They had some self-control, not even leaving room for the fact that maybe that wasn't on their mind. Maybe they're not violent people. Maybe they're just normal people who don't like a fascistic Austrian left-leaning government telling them what to do with their bodies.
Yeah. I was
Keep going.
Yeah, hold on. I was going to pull up the Screw Your Freedom ISO, but I couldn't find it in time. Which it's fitting here. The attacks on police and cars and bicycles set on fire. The anti-mandate fury had been building in Austria for a week. Just 1 week, Basil. Mm-hmm. After it feels like it's been much longer, but after the government imposed a lockdown on the roughly 2 million people who were not vaccinated. The police, given the task of enforcing the measure, said the unvaccinated had become, quote, clearly more radical, Carl Nehammer, Australia's Interior Minister, said on Sunday.
What does that mean?
Clearly more radical. Isn't that your fault, government, though? Like, they're more radical
right.
now. Why? Because we imposed things on them. Oh, so you guys radicalized them?
Exactly. And that's something that the government always, it's a nice little trick of theirs.
It is.
Which is, if somebody doesn't agree with what they're doing, they're called radicals. I mean, it's a classic, whoever writes the history, or the victor writes history, whatever, right. The thing. So the government is just able to attach whatever phrase or label. I mean, you see it the same in the U.S. where, unvaccinated people, they're not just unvaccinated, they're anti-vax, right-wing, domestic extremists,
right,
white supremacists, because they're not doing what we tell them to do. And yeah, they're doing the same thing in Austria. They're so radical that they don't want to be forced to get a gene therapy injection.
Screw your freedom.
There it is. Further aggravating the crisis, the Austrian government fell into weeks of paralysis after Sebastian Kurz resigned as chancellor in early October amid a scandal leading to infighting between his conservative followers and their partners in the governing coalition, the Greens. Germany has been saddled with a similar power vacuum since elections in late September that reduced Chancellor Angela Merkel to caretaker status while her successor struggles to form a government. A lead editorial for the Austrian newspaper Salzburger Nachrichten took the government in Vienna to task for allowing the situation to become so politicized, with warring camps viewing one another as the enemy of the opponents of vaccines, dismissing scientific research as politically motivated. It goes on and on here.
Well, I love this quote. Hold on.
Yeah.
This is a quote here.
Oh, yeah.
We have allowed that mistletoe twig therapists are immensely popular, and that alleged healers, layers on of hands, and preachers of hate have become acceptable against the modern researchers and pharmacologists, Manfred Perterer, the paper's editor-in-chief, wrote. Excuse me? Again, just completely ignoring the fact that most vaccine hesitant people are solely basing their decision on available evidence and scientific studies. It may be, again, like you said, more radicalized by the government's response and ignorance of the actual science. And at least in the U.S., as we saw, boosters specifically were laid bare as complete political maneuvers as they were fought against in the FDA. And even the CDC, the CDC panel voted not to allow boosters for most people. And Rochelle Walensky said, thanks, panel. I don't care, though. So we're going to give boosters. And same with the FDA. Of course, we had FDA officials stepping down because of the politicization of the boosters. And I imagine that there's a similar situation over in Austria. Yeah. But, it's the New York Times. So they're, creating history and the storyline as they go. Yeah, there's a little bit more egregious stuff down here. There's a quote. Above all, the pandemic needs to be depoliticized, Mr. Perterer said. Quote, communication needs to be clear again. I agree 100% with that. Mr. Nehammer, I guess, the Interior Minister, echoed that idea on Sunday. He echoed the idea that we need to depoliticize the pandemic and, communicate clearer. And he said that the quote-unquote freedom that many of the protesters insist they want can be achieved through vaccination.
Vaccination.
Just shows the foundational misunderstanding that the elite lizard people have, the total disconnection that they have from actual people. Oh, they want freedom. Well, they can have the freedom if they just get the jab. It's easy peasy.
This is like the shameless salesman Like, whatever you want. What do you want? Oh, do you want that? Sure. Yeah, you'll get that if you buy this. You know, it's
exactly whatever you want. It will make you whole and complete, and you'll feel free and whole once you just get the product. Really sick how they're doing this over here.
He goes on to say, quote, "It is not a question of ideology. It is a question of convincing. We can't do and try enough to convince so that the unvaccinated get vaccinated," Mr. Niehammer said. The alternative could be the vaccine mandate that the Austrian government plans to introduce in February as a last resort. It's not clear whether that would persuade people to get inoculated or further inflame opponents. I think they have a general idea of what would happen.
I think you know exactly what will happen.
Don't play coy, New York Times.
Yeah.
They're like, we don't know what's going to happen. Maybe more people will get vaccinated and have their freedom back.
If they truly don't know, then they are just as oblivious as the Austrian government.
Just ridiculous. Anyway, there you go. That's what's going down in Austria, and reported through the New York Times. Of course, they have their own little slant here to everything happening, but it's pretty pathetic.
There you go. Well, thank you, everybody. We, as we mentioned before, we are keeping this show slightly shorter here so we can get Gonz off to his anniversary festivities. And with that being said, Gonz, I think it's time to have a producer party.
Party time.
Party time.
Go to CanaryCry.Party. Type that into your URL, CanaryCry.Party. You can subscribe to our email list. You can explore all the platforms where we live stream. You can connect with others in the community through Discord. We have our CanaryCry.Community and other social media. And you can support the show right there on the LINKTREE, which is what the CanaryCry.Party domain will take you to. And just as a heads up, I am behind on the show notes newsletter. So what I'll do is make sure that it is out before Thanksgiving, so that when you're having your conversations with family, you want to pull up a resource. You can it's higher up in the mailbox there on your computer or phone. I'm not saying you should be on your phone during this period, but
it's 2021. Everybody's going to be on their phone during Thanksgiving. But that's a great point, actually. We always talk about the newsletter and how it's the main feature of joining the newsletter is we send out our resources, all the mainstream corporate news articles that we analyze on the show. We send them out to our newsletter, and it's a great resource for people who are having conversations with the mainstream corporate news loving folks in their life. And if you get into conversations now, again, I don't recommend getting in big conversations during Thanksgiving, but
sit down when you see your family and just, when you give them a hug or whatever, just whisper transhumanism into their ear. They're like, what?
Don't do anything that Gonz tells you to do. But if you just can't help yourself, the best way to have those conversations is to be equipped with articles and sources that are ones that they would respect. If you're going to pull up some crazy blog or Carrie Maddei's Twitter channel or something, it's not going to help your conversation. But as we do in the show, which is find the discrepancies and the analyses and the deconstruction within the mainstream news. And so you can use those sources to politely and lovingly have these conversations with people. If you're going to do that, don't do it. But if you're going to do it, you should join the newsletter, and you'll get a nice little bump of sources right in your mailbox ready for you for Thanksgiving dinner. Okay, CanaryCry.Party. Okay, let's take a little break and thank some producers.
It's break time! Come on, take a break.
Okay, folks, we're just going to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere, because after the break, we've got an update on the Great Reset. We've got some money printer go BRRRR some interesting things happening in the Afghan banking system, and we'll have a little update on El Salvador and their Bitcoin journey that they've been going on. So don't go anywhere. There's some pretty important stuff after this break, but for right now, we're going to thank some producers. And that's right, I said producers. That's because you're not just a listener of the show, but if you get any value out of the show, you can support the show. And people who support the show are producers of the show, because this is the real world, baby. You're not just donors. You're not just, generous people, but you are officially producers of Canary Cry News Talk. And you may have noticed there's no advertisements, no affiliate codes, no super secret mail enhancements, supplements, or freedom phones, none of that. In fact, there's no corporate money whatsoever that goes into keeping Canary Cry News Talk going. That includes YouTube partnerships or Twitch affiliates or partnerships, none of that. And that's because corporate money equals corporate influence, which makes independent media, truly independent media, impossible. Now, we understand that podcasts and shows around the internet, they claim to be independent media, and yet they play advertisements and have affiliate codes and take corporate money. And, that's okay. They have to do what they have to do to keep going. But the insightful listener will know that if there's corporate money involved, the title of independent media is borderline. Not to say they're not good shows and they don't have good information, but it's just a matter of integrity for me, at least. When I watch or listen to some independent media and then they try to sell me some underwear subscription or something like that, promising wholeness and completeness if I just spend a little bit of money, it makes me wonder about what's going on over there at that outlet. But not here, folks. This is because we're strictly on the value for value model, which is a simple model, yet a revolution when it comes to the future of media and especially news media. The value for value model is simple. We create value. We do it 3 times a week, and we try our very hardest at it. And if you get any value out of what we do, then you have the opportunity or the responsibility to put some value back in. And I say responsibility because, of course, we are in a time, we have grown up in such a time that we expect to get media for free, to watch a couple advertisements here and there, and, we can sort of disconnect ourselves from having any responsibility for what we are choosing to let into our brains. But in 2021, as we move into the metaverse transhuman future, the nonsense that the advertising industry has created when it comes to polarizing media, when it comes to constructed storylines in order to socially engineer the public one way or another, usually it turns out to be mighty profitable for the lizard people at the top. And not to mention that advertising agencies incentivize creators like Gonz and I to gain as much attention and trust as possible from our listeners so that we'll be more effective at packaging up the trust and attention of our listeners and selling it off like a commodity to the advertising industry. And that's just something that didn't sit well with us. We don't like considering you people a product of ours to sell and make money from, which has brought us to the value for value model. So that's a little bit about why we do this. We don't want to be in the same business as Google and Facebook and all the biggest, most evil corporations. Mark Zuckerberg himself said while testifying to Congress that they are in the advertising business. And I don't want to be in the same business as Mark Zuckerberg, Gonz. I don't know about you. But nope. That's why we do what we do. It's called the value for value model, baby. And we take pride in our producers. They've kept the show going in this format now for 2 years, and really even much longer. But we're going to keep going, and that's easy for us because we know when to stop doing the show because the producers will stop producing, which means they don't get any value. And why would we keep doing something that people don't get value out of? But today is not that day, and that's why we're going to thank some producers, Gonz. Now, the first way to become a producer is, we have a couple ways. One of the ways is by heading over to patreon.com/CCNT, and we'll thank producers there in the coming segment. But if you don't like Patreon, that's okay. You can head on over to CanaryCry.Radio.com/support.
Oh my gosh.
Whoa.
What just happened?
Did that catch you by surprise?
No. I clicked the jingle and the player went into a different screen.
Ooh,
CanaryCry.Radio.com/support.
That's right. CanaryCry.Radio.com/support is a great place to become a producer of the show. If you head on over there, you'll see at the bottom of the page, you can support the show with your cryptocurrency. If you're a cool crypto kid, you can join a sustaining producership. And if you want to commit to keeping the show going on a monthly basis, or if commitment is not your thing, you can go ahead and make a one-time producership in any amount. As well as you'll see some fun programs like the Canary Cry calendar program, which we'll talk about a little bit more in a moment. But Gonz, who do we have coming in over there?
All right. On the PayPal, we're going to start things off with our executive producer for episode 414, and that is Vincent B.
Vincent B. Thank you very much. Our executive producer, Canary Cry News Talk, episode 414.
Where'd you find this?
That's right. And Vincent B. came in with a nice even number, so we're keeping the number anonymous here. But I did get an email from Vincent B. that I read through, and he has something interesting that he was discussing.
Okay.
And let's see here. He wanted our thoughts on something, so he's the executive producer. We might as well address it now.
Sure, yeah.
He says, "Hey, Basil and Gonz, I just wanted your thoughts on a spiritual/material irony. Communism/socialism is everyone yielding to a central power who decides what everyone gets, regardless of works. Democracy is everyone has a right to choose with their dollar and earned according to their works." I would say maybe he means capitalism.
Yeah, I think maybe
capitalism instead of communism. Remember,
or democracy.
What?
You're saying capitalism? Like democracy, meaning when he says democracy, he means capitalism.
That's what I mean.
Okay,
yes,
yeah.
I think he's referring to capitalism as the economic system.
Right.
God said that man would eat through working. So it seems like democracy/capitalism is optimal in a fallen world. At the same time, in a perfect world, Jesus is a king and we all yield to him and he provides for all perfectly, i.e. wine and branches. Vine and branches, which seems much more like socialism/kingdom in earthly terms. It seems like Satan has set up a mental/spiritual danger zone where our earthly values for freedom slowly overshadow our spiritual values for obedience to Jesus. Satan didn't cause us to worship him, but ourselves. This seems like what the beast system ultimately will look like. I think that is a great breakdown of that. And for those who need a review here, he's kind of talking about how democracy and capitalism is very individual focused. Mm-hmm. It's what we can do for ourselves. It's,
it champions freedom.
Yes, championing freedom,
yes.
Where communism and socialism, where there's a central power that provides for everybody on Earth, obviously has not worked once.
No.
But when it comes to sort of the heavenly government, where Jesus is at the top and, we are all cared for underneath that kingdom model. We've thought about this, and I believe we've actually kind of talked about this on air a couple times, but I think it's a very insightful thing. And ultimately, he's saying that the sort of earthly concept of communism and socialism, it claims to be a utopic vision.
Right.
And I think that there's something deep in the hearts of communists who do resonate with the utopic heavenly vision of what they would call communism, but what, the Bible would call some sort of kingdom system. But of course, we're not in heaven, and utopia cannot be achieved on earth, and therefore the capitalist democracy system resonates a bit more with the Old Testament, you don't eat if you don't work thing. And I do find it ironic, with the deception on earth being, oh, you can create utopia, you can create this heaven now on earth. You don't need Jesus and heaven to find utopia. You can create it now by creating a fascistic communist government that controls all, and you will be happy. I think that the communism, socialism, democracy, capitalism conversation, it's almost like it makes the most sense in a biblical context.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas, whereas if it's purely secular, you can kind of have the arguments, but adding the biblical perspective on it just really seals the deal on how that deception operates, the mechanisms of that deception would happen here on earth.
Yeah, I kind of touched on this, I think, in Age of Deceit 3 a lot in terms of like society, the structure of things. So here's what I would say, and I 100% agree with your assessment about how biblically it makes the most sense in terms of this conversation. And it's also because the communist and the socialist, they both, like you said, they yearn this utopia, and that actually speaks to the fallen state of man. They wouldn't have this almost untapped or this nagging sense of restoration of a utopia, whatever it may be. This the seeking of some sort of perfection, because clearly we can all agree that the systems don't work. They're broken.
They're certainly not perfect.
They work to a certain degree, but then it all breaks down. Communism, socialism, their entire view is based off of the biblical view of the fallen state of man. They have their solution for it, but because they don't necessarily put Jesus at the center, a transcendent God, and that's the big thing here is if you put a fallen human or a fallen group of humans at the center of this system, then of course it's going to fail.
And that's why I sort of tend to try to humanize the day-to-day normal person who will refer to themselves as a communist.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. Because I'm not talking, leaders or organizers or the high-level people. They're on their own thing.
Yeah.
But a normal kid, a normal person, usually kids, who consider themselves communists, I empathize because what they are feeling is that yearning for heaven, that yearning that there is a way that everybody can be provided for, that everybody can get along, and that everybody, the imbalances, the inequities, the unfairness of our current system can be solved. And what that is heaven sort of is encoded in them, and they're just a little mixed up on exactly what the actual answer is, because they want to create this system here on Earth with force and with elitism and power and centralization, when the reality is that is what is awaiting them in heaven.
Yeah.
And not, it is a spiritual yearning that we all have for those types of principles. But yes, discounting the fact that the world is fallen, and every attempt at utopia, every attempt in history, in human history, for your utopia has turned out to be a complete and utter disaster. Not even just not work, but turn into dystopia. Because when humans try to create utopia, they mess it up every single time. Every single time.
You know what else is messed up is your video feed there. It might need a refresh. But along those lines, and we'll continue thanking people here. We can on this rabbit trail here with the executive producer's note. But if depending on the perspective of where you look or how you look at democracy and capitalism, it too is a centralized system in many ways. There's just a little bit more freedom, right? You still got to follow laws. There's still like parameters of what you can and can't do. It's a little more free and open, I suppose, and each individual can make more decisions within it. But it's just a wider net kind of thing. And I think we tend to think that it's so completely different. And, politically and geopolitically, maybe it is in terms of how things are run. But if you step back and look at it, they're not super different. You know what I mean? Like it's not as polarizing as you might first think. If you look at it from within, it might feel different, but if you step away from it. So anyway, it's a good conversation. And yes, I don't think, and it's the kind of nuance. I'm glad this Vincent B., executive producer for today's show, brings this conversation here, because it speaks to the nuance that we're able to talk about here on this show. And how it's, and we've come out and say, those communists, or the CCP or whatever it might be, and our distaste for what they're doing. But there's a difference between a systemic or criticism of a system at the grand level and criticizing individuals who buy into the system. When you look at that individually, people by people, then you start to realize that they're just humans. They just want the best for others most of the time, not always, but most of the time they believe that the system is broken and they would want some other system, or they idealize some other system that can do better. And, I grew up during the whole Rage Against the Machine thing. Everybody was wearing a Che t-shirt, It was all about the communist thing. And from my young self growing up, it was like, oh yeah, rage against the machine. The machine is the government, and we're raging against it, and that whole ideology plays on, especially on young people, which is another tactic, by the way. I've talked about this too, is how to take over certain regions or countries or whatever you appeal to the youth. So anyway, down the rabbit trail we go, dig ourselves out. Are you ready to move on?
And we have another executive. Did we play the executive producer for Vincent?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we have another executive producer that just came in.
Ooh.
Yeah, and that is Derek R.
Derek R.
Thank you very much. Yeah, sliding in at the last moment here. Thank you very much, Derek R. And I'm just double checking to see if Derek R. sent us a message. I don't think he did, but thank you very much, Derek R., for the executive producership.
Thank you very much.
Where'd you find this?
It's funny when the video has issues. The only way I know, unless I'm looking at you with the monitor here, is the chat starts saying stuff, Things like Basil's being absorbed by the metaverse. We are losing him.
Yeah.
Like right now, he went dark. It's actually my video
card, Did I go back
folks.
Again? I think that's on your side,
It is on my side, but I can't do anything about it. You have to refresh for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So, put it all on.
Well, I'll keep doing it. I'll keep keeping an eye on it.
Okay.
But let's keep moving. Thank you very much, Derek R.
Thank you, Derek R. Appreciate the executive producership for episode 414. We have our associate executive producer, Juan A.
Juan A is back, baby. Great to hear from you, Juan A. And yes, Juan A comes in as an associate executive producer.
Yes, you man, you are executive associate producer for this episode. Enjoy it while it lasts.
Juan A is back, and he comes in with 133.33, so he's Illuminati handler.
Illuminatus!
Thank you very much. And he has a note here. Says, good morning, amigos. Hope all is well. Sorry I've missed many episodes. But here you go, bro chachos. God bless. Well, thank you very much, Juan A. And
thank you,
no worries. We know things are rough over there.
Yeah.
So, don't fret about it. But thank you very much for coming in and producing the show.
Yep, thank you very much. Okay,
I want
the calendars.
Yeah, so I want to take a second and thank our new calendar producers. For those who don't know, there is a new Canary Cry calendar. That's right. It's super cool. Last year was the first year that it got put together. This is a project entirely created by producers of the show. Gonz and I have nothing to do with it. And these producers put together a physical calendar. It's filled with art from some of our favorite artists on the show. And it's got, well, it's a calendar. Let's actually pull up.
It's a calendar. It's got calendar things, and
it's a calendar. It's got all sorts of cool dates, but let's just show rather than tell, Gonz. Sure. We're going to look at November, because today is November, and we'll see what the November page for 2022 looks like.
A year from now, what will we be up to?
1 year from now, if you sign up to get the calendar, you'll be looking at this page. Of course, we've got a quote here from episode 410. It was the Dr. David Goodfriend quote. Dr. David Goodfriend, what a great name. Dr. Goodfriend sounds like a drug dealer. Dr. Goodfriend, I've got what you need. That was from a few episodes ago. But there's some notable dates, like Wednesday, November 2nd. In 1984, Daddy Fauci becomes head of the NIAID.
Oh.
So see, we've got very specific, relevant dates for Canarians. I did not know that. November 2nd on 1984 is how long he's been head of
So he
NIAID.
just had his, 38.
Something. Yeah, it's crazy.
37.
And of course, they got the little picture of the Dr. Fauci mouse.
Yeah.
It's her dove there. The 4th of November in 1952, the NSA was founded.
Oh, great.
Notable.
Great.
Of course, November 5th is Guy Fawkes Day.
Right.
In the UK.
Also the day Bill Cooper passed away.
Yes, exactly. Author of Behold a Pale Horse passed away. Let's see. We've got daylight savings time. We've got
November 12th is Dr. David Buddy Goodfriend Day. Just come named a day after
Dr. David Buddy Goodfriend Day gets his own day. On the 13th in 1981, Canada Arm. That was Canada Arm 1. One of the first giant space flippies launched into space as part of Columbia. So that's pretty cool. On the 16th, 1977, Close Encounters of the Third Kind was released. On November 17th in 1875 was the founding of the Theosophical Society.
Madame Blavatsky.
Yes, yeah. Let's see. On the 21st of November in 1990, Basil's favorite movie, Robot Jocks, premiered. Dang. That was yesterday. Oh, we should have done something. Happy birthday, Robot Jocks.
We could do it today.
We could, yeah. Robot Jocks. For those who are kind of newer to the show, back, I don't know, within the past year, maybe, they probably haven't heard me talk about Robot Jocks. But yes, I finally, I traced back some of my obsessions with robots and things back to the movie Robot Jocks being my favorite movie. It's this old 1990s movie about, instead of war, nation states do one-on-one giant robot battles for ownership of territory, and Robot Jocks is all about Russia and the United States having a giant one-on-one robot battle to win Alaska.
I started watching it, and you told me to stop so we can do it together.
Yeah, we were going to do like a watch party. We should do that.
Yeah.
The 23rd of November is 33 days till Christmas, Fibonacci Day.
Oh, that's tomorrow then, too.
Yeah, tomorrow, 33 days till Christmas. Day. On the 29th of November in 1935, physicists Erwin Schrödinger published Schrödinger's cat. Holy moly, November's a huge day for the Canarian calendar.
A day?
Anywho,
or a month? No, November's a month.
Yes, of course. Thank you for that correction. And of course, there's some scriptures on here. We've got Hebrews 9:27 through 28 and Psalm 55:22. Cast thy burden upon the Lord, and he shall sustain thee. He shall never suffer the righteous to be moved. Psalm 55:22. So it's super cool, guys. We're very proud of the producers who put it together, and we're so excited. And this is the second year in a row that they've done this, and you can get your own. Now, they are not for sale because we are not a retail establishment. That's not what we do here. We don't sell merch. But for those producers who want to help us start out the year 2022 strong with a new monthly producership in the amount of $20.22, they will get this Canary Cry calendar for free. And a lot of people are signing up, which I'm stoked about. I think this is catching on. People realize just how cool this is. And this is not an unlimited supply, folks. So if you think you want one of these things, go ahead and head on over to CanaryCry.Radio.com/support. And at the top of the page, you will see, that's our first option up there. We have some pictures of the calendar. We break down what it is. And there's a button there that says sign up for the 2022 producership to get your calendar. Just go ahead and click that. Make sure to click the box that makes it a monthly producership and click the box to put in your address. That way we can make sure to get the calendar to you. The first batch of calendars will be going out in the first week of December, so they should arrive in time for Christmas. But if you come in later than that, we'll be shipping them out later. But thank you to all the producers and artists that make it happen. And I'm going to read some of the producers who committed to helping us start 2022 strong, and will be receiving their calendars. And they include producer Catherine D, producer Jacqueline P, producer JC's getting one, producer Courtney M is getting one, Scott K is getting one, and producer Jeremy H will also be receiving one. Thank you very much to those producers, and we can't wait until these products get sent out. It's going to be dope.
The cool producers
let's
have calendars.
Going with the peeps.
All right. Continuing on here. 57 Chevy Girl.
Thank you very much. 57 Chevy Girl. 57 Chevy Girl is on a streak.
Yeah, she's on a streak.
Women rule! Woo, 10 episodes in a row. She came in with 3669 and a note that says, "Good day, Baz, and happy anniversary, Gonz and Mrs. Gonz. Hope you both have a wonderful, blessed day to reflect and cherish each other. God bless you all." 57 Chevy Girl. And the math on this number is 22nd for the day, plus 13 years, your wedding anniversary, plus 33 cents for Illuminati Handler, plus $1.36 for fees. For the PayPal fees, all comes out to $36.69. Anniversary donation breakdown. Thank you very much, 57 Chevy Girl.
Thank you, 57 Chevy Girl. And I'll let the missus know.
Yes.
Next up, we have Morv.
Producer Morv is on a streak. 24 episodes in a row. Thank you, Morv. He comes in with 1333 with a note that says, "Happy Monday and happy anniversary, Gonzo."
Thank you very much, and you are Illuminati.
Illuminatus! Yeah, he got 13 for your anniversary and 33 for Illuminatus. So thank you very much, Morv.
Thank you, Morv. Next up, we have Jack V.
Jack V is back. He's one of our Canary Cry crypto chads. Thank you very much, Jack V. Oh, do we have the pictures?
We do.
You do?
Yeah. I mean, do you want me to show both of them? I thought I would show maybe just one.
Well, whatever you think. Yeah, okay. I mean, the one, whatever. He said, yeah, we're free to share either of them, whatever you want. So we'll let you share those while I read this.
Oh, yeah, you're going to read it. Okay, go ahead.
I'll just read and you show them. He came in with 11.16 ADA, this Cardano. Thank you very much, Jack V. He says, "Hello, brodas. I sent the 11.16 ADA. My wife just gave birth to our first son on 11/16. Oh, my gosh. Congratulations, Jack. Oh my gosh. Babies having babies, man.
I know.
Wanted to celebrate this because it's so amazing being a father. It's hard to describe. Feel free to share these pics. And can I get 2 random jingles? You can get 2 random jingles.
Yeah, here we go. Since you're the crypto Chad here.
Money printer go
It can't go to moon. It's gotta be biblical.
Just summing up
Cool.
the future.
Yeah. Which picture did you choose? Oh, you just got the close up there. Very cute
Yeah,
Canary Cry
so
baby.
Cute. He's so cute.
Do you want to show the picture with Daddy too?
I can show the picture with Daddy. Just didn't want to dox him, you know?
I know. We're always, he told us to do it. So
There's
we're doing
Jack
it.
V with the little baby. So cute.
Jack V. Our Canary Cry Crypto Chad. Very cute baby.
Congrats.
Congratulations, Jack V. Really incredible experience. We've got a nice handful of next gen Canary Cry babies coming out recently, huh?
Yeah. I love it. You know, holding a baby, man. It's some of the, and especially going through like a birth.
Yeah.
At least for men, or for me anyway, as a man.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. What a mind trip.
Mind bending.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you hold the baby and you're like, wow, I was once this helpless and small.
I was
and
one of these.
It's a miracle that I'm here on 2 feet.
Yeah.
So,
well, congratulations, Jack V. We're very happy for you. And cool tattoos.
Yes. Thank you very much, Jack V. And congratulations. And congratulations to your wife. She's the actual champion.
Yes.
Every time I try to get away with something in the household, the wife always, especially with the kids, you know, the wife always pulls the "I gave birth to them" card. So it's like, oh, that means as the dad, I am forever in debt.
Well,
I can never up
this
the wife.
See, I've been thinking about this. I think this gets you social justice points because you are oppressed by your genetics. You were just born this way.
It's because I'm Asian and a man.
You would have had the babies if you could, but your genetics oppress you, and you can't have the babies. So
I would have done it for us, but
she's she's privileged. She's got uterus privilege.
I don't think that's going to work, but I will
using her privilege to oppress you.
If I feel really cornered, I will go there with the wife.
Yeah, that'll work.
Just keep that in my back pocket.
All right. Did you give Jack V his jingles?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you, Jack V.
Thank you, Jack V, and congratulations. Next up, we have Amanda P.
Amanda P is on a streak.
Yeah, she's on a streak.
Women rule!
10 episodes in a row, coming in with 1111 plus fees. And she says, happy Monday and happy anniversary to Gonz and the missus.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Amanda P.
Next up, we have Gail M.
Gail M is on a streak.
Yeah, she's on a streak.
Women rule!
53 episodes in a row. She comes in with 1120. And a note. She says, today, 11:20, my sweet brother Rob went home. He's gone. Aww. It hurts. Thank you for all your prayers. XXXXX. Oh. And yes, we're so sorry to hear about that, Gail. Yeah. We know you've been keeping us posted on just how rough it's been over the past month or so with his health conditions. But we are here, we grieve with you, and we support you both with our prayers and with, well, mostly our prayers. But we know this is a very difficult time. So why don't we hit the Prayducers?
Prayducers, assemble!
That's right. We'll continue to keep Gail M in our prayers and the whole family. Always very difficult time of grieving, and but we'll be praying that that the Lord brings you guys through it.
Amen. Sorry to hear about that, Gail, but thank you for the producership here and the continued producership.
Yeah,
on quite a streak.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Sir Salmon's Night of the Fishes.
Sir Salmon's is on a streak. 30 episodes in a row. He's coming up on that 33, Sir Salmons. He supports the show today with 1111 and a note that says, it's Monday. Many blessings from the fishes.
Did we play the Monday jingle?
Today? I don't think we did. We've had a lot of Happy Mondays, and I feel like we should have been playing it. Why don't you play it?
What day is it? Monday. Monday.
Monday.
Monday. Yeah, we did forget it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I had it ready too.
I know. Okay,
That's it.
who's next?
Yep. Thank you, Sir Sammons. Next up, Sir Casey, the Shield Knight.
Sir Casey, you know he's on a streak. That's right, 86 episodes in a row. Came in a couple times for a total of 1333. Thank you very much, Sir Casey.
Illuminatus!
Next up, Sir Sigra, the Beast.
Sir Sigra the Beast is on a streak. 11 episodes in a row. He comes in with the 1001.
1001. Amen.
And a note, it's 11:22 today. You know what that means, right? 11 plus 22 equals 33. And only Gonz could have a Masonic wedding anniversary. I wonder what he'll do 12 years from now when it's 11/22/33.
Ooh.
Ooh. Have you considered that before?
No, I actually haven't. That's interesting.
Oh. And he finishes his note with, and NFT. I know how much you just love NFTs. Yeah, thank you, Sir Sigra.
I don't love NFTs.
I think he was doing that more to inflict pain on me than to criticize you.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I'm all for that. Imposing torture upon Basil is always welcome.
Yeah, it's a common pastime here in the Canarium.
All right, thank you, Sir Sigra. Next up, we have Heatherus.
Heatherus is on a streak.
Yeah, she's on a streak.
Women rule.
28 episodes in a row, and the 1001.
1001. Amen.
Thank you very much, Heatherus.
Thank you, Heatherus. Next up, we have JC.
JC is on a streak. Coming in 39 episodes in a row, pocket full of sevens plus fees, and he says, "Happy Monday, guys." Let's hit that Monday again.
Oh, again. Okay, hold on.
I love it. It's
It's
so
on a whole
gentle.
different page.
So gentle and nice.
Gary, what day is it? Monday. Monday.
Monday.
That jingle really makes Mondays better. Starting last Wednesday, the flu started running rampant through the JC household with my wife. And then I started coming down with symptoms last night. As she recovered, send prayers to this ginger ale and saltine recovery bread. All right. Prayducers assemble.
Prayducers, assemble!
JC and wife on the list. Flu's running rampant. Let's pray for a speedy recovery. Thank you very much, JC.
Thank you, JC. Yep. Speedy recovery in the household. It feels like this is definitely like a winter fall bug going around.
Yep.
And it's not COVID.
It's all COVID, Gonz.
Next up, Rung Smash.
Rung Smash is on a streak. Came in a couple times, pocket full of sevens and 203, and he says, "Hey y'all, praise God, my religious exemption got approved. My company is a government contractor, but it looks like they found a way to make it work since it's also super huge. Please keep praying for those who the mandate is still looming over." Yeah, amen. That's awesome. We got another religious exemption approved. Great to hear that, Rung Smash. Thank you.
Thank you, Rung Smash.
And of course, we have your microfiction in the next break.
Yep.
Now, that is all the producers that came in at 777 or above for the note reading levels. But we got a list of producers here who still came in, and we're ready to thank them. We'll start out with Scott K., who's on a streak. 76 episodes in a row, pocket full of threes and fees. Next up, we have producer Jackie Yu, who's on a streak.
Yeah, she's on a streak.
Women rule.
5 episodes in a row, threes and fees. Thank you, Jackie. Next, we have producer Veronica D, who's on a streak.
Yeah, she's on a streak.
Women rule.
little hiccup in Veronica D's streak, but she did the right thing, made it right immediately on the day. And so her streak continues, 52 episodes in a row. Wow. And streak has been rescued. I feel like maybe we need a streak rescued jingle, because every once in a while there will be a streak rescue. And I think that would be fun. I don't know if Learbag's in the chat or if any other jingle makers are out there. Maybe Marty B, who's somebody. I'm thinking something like maybe kind of like a Saving Private Ryan vibe. I don't know, but musical and it's got a nice beat to it. And we're rescuing the streak. The streak has been rescued. Something like that. Use your creativity. We need that. Thank you very much, Veronica D.
Thank you, Veronica D.
Next up, we have producer Ciara. She's on a streak.
Yeah, she's on a streak.
Women rule!
Whom I'm really starting to suspect is actually CIA-ra. I think she might actually be in the CIA. And she might be our official handler or something.
Yeah.
But she's on a 48-episode streak. Thank you, Ciara.
Thank you, Ciara.
Next, we have Green Mountaineer coming in with threes and fees.
Thank you, Green Mountaineer.
Thank you. A couple more here. We got Doctor Who Dundat, who's on the streak. 23 episodes in a row, threes and fees. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doc.
Last but not least, we've got producer Child of God, who's on the streak. 20 episodes in a row, threes and fees. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, that concludes all of our financial producers for today's episode. Now, Gonz, just to round out this break, I had a poll running since the last poll. I am ending it now.
Sure.
And the results of the poll are not popping up. Oh, please.
Come on,
please.
YouTube algorithms.
Oh, please. Oh, here we go. Whew. Okay. The poll is complete. The question was, should Gonz's head be bigger on screen?
Oh, gosh. I did not approve of this poll.
We had 133 votes.
Oh, there you go.
133 votes. Now, I did you a little bit of a favor.
Oh, great. Thanks.
There was yes, or there was no, there was yes.
Yeah.
And then I split the yes vote because there was yes, and then there was bigger, better, and beefier for the answer of how we should make your head on screen. 43% got no. 36 was bigger, better, beefier, and 19 was yes.
Oh, so your little thing allowed me to escape.
See, Gonz, I'm really on your side here. I used a little tip from How to Lie with Statistics.
Yeah, that's very good. Well done.
And I split the yes vote for you, so you're welcome. We don't have to make your head bigger this episode.
Oh, thank goodness. Appreciate it.
And that's how it's done, folks. And I think that is it for the break. And we should thank everybody for their patronage.
Shut up and take my money. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your patronage.
Yes, it's wake-up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
We need a great reset.
A great reset. This is the BangkokPost.com. It's mirroring a Wall Street Journal article.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, fun times. And the headline here, The Great Shopping Reset. How the pandemic helped fix retail.
Huh.
It helped fix it, Basil.
Retail? It fixed it.
It fixed it.
That's not what we've heard from literally anyone.
The COVID-19 pandemic was supposed to deliver a knockout punch to department stores and specialty retailers. Instead, many of them are bouncing back healthier. They wanted that third B, but they couldn't do it. Profits are exceeding 2019 levels at companies ranging from Macy's Inc. to Ralph Lauren Corp. Dozens of chains restructured through bankruptcy or worked to shed money losing locations and now have stronger balance sheets. Even the supply chain problems.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. We had, no. Okay, never mind. Sorry. I forgot we have another prayer request, but we're doing that in the next break.
You know what? I know what you're talking about. And yes,
we're doing it in the next break, though. Okay. I forgot. We already agreed on this.
Okay. Even the supply chain problems bedeviling companies have produced a silver lining. It has helped retailers break a cycle, at least temporarily, of overbuying and discounting that has eroded profits for decades, executives and analysts said. Quote, "We were carrying too much inventory for years," Macy's chief executive Jeff Gennette said last week. Quote, "Through the pandemic, our opportunity to work through our stock and get in line with demand is a benefit we'll hold on to going forward." He said stocking fewer goods translates into less cluttered stores, which is a better experience for customers and results in more full-priced sales. Quote, "It's not pilot high and let it fly anymore, Joanne."
How's that better for customers because it's full price sales? They're saying it's better for customers because we can sell it for more expensive?
Yes, less options, higher price, better for retailer.
Again, you gotta love the double speak.
Oh, yeah.
They're saying less options and higher prices is better for consumers.
Yeah. It's true if you're thinking of it from the corporate side there, because sometimes
not for consumers. It's better for them, for their bottom line. Yeah. Okay.
Let's see. Yes, it's not pilot high and let it fly anymore. Joanne Crevosera, CEO of Coach Parent Tapestry Inc., said 2 weeks ago, referring to an industry maxim about selling large quantities of goods at low prices. Ms. Crevosera said Tapestry had begun reducing inventory even before the pandemic. Quote, "We're not competing on price anymore. Retailers have long had to walk the line between having enough goods and missing out on sales and having excess items that need to be marked down. In the past, they have tended to err on the side of having too much. During the pandemic, every retailer faced inventory challenges at the same time, making a reset possible." How convenient.
Oh my gosh.
Quote, "Retailers want to maximize sales," said Karen Katz, the former CEO of Neiman Marcus Group. Quote,
"Yeah,
that is the nature of the game." Yeah. She added that it is unclear whether the lure of higher margins and stock prices will be enough of an incentive to keep investors inventories lean going forward. It's a real question. Discounts have been around since the dawn of retailing, but they started to become destructive in the 1980s as retailers went on huge expansion spree and opened thousands of stores. The shift to overseas manufacturing led to a surge in low-cost goods and the rise of Walmart Inc., Target Core, and other discount chains, as well as fast fashion, put added pressure on department stores and specialty retailers to compete heavily on price at the expense of their bottom line, executives said.
Yeah.
Like what, capitalism? Like how normal capitalism works?
Yeah, exactly. The benefits to the consumer of capitalism.
Yeah.
They're literally
compete,
making
so
a
they
case.
have to lower prices, yeah.
They're literally making a case about how this is good for consumers that and they're talking about how great it is that
Listen to the, okay, hold on. Finish your thought,
it's like
because
this
it goes on.
Weird reverse free market situation.
Listen to this sentence, a standalone sentence in this article. E-commerce worsened the problem by allowing shoppers to easily search out the best deals online.
Oh,
horrible thing.
E-commerce is bad for everybody, giving people good deals.
Oh, we have to put an end to this. Can't let them search out the best deals.
That is crazy.
Excessive discounting diminished brand equity, which requires even more price cuts, the executives said. Quote, "You had customers who got hooked on the discounts," Mr. Johnson said. "They'd only buy when things were on sale." Yeah, that's normally how people do things in the lower.
It's the free hand of the market, baby.
J.C. Penney Co. tried to move away from discounts in 2012, but lost $4.3 billion in sales in a 12-month period. Macy's also tried unsuccessfully to wean shoppers off discounts over the years.
Wean shoppers off of discounts.
I know a good idea. We'll do discounts. Oh, they're addicted to discounts. We have to stop them from using the discount so much.
Oh my gosh.
Quote,
this is an excellently done spin doctor session.
It's amazing. Quote, customers stopped shopping, so we knew that was a bad idea. Terry Lundgren, who was the Macy's CEO, told the Wall Street Journal in 2013. More recently, Macy's has simplified its pricing by reducing overlapping promotions. That strategy, coupled with less inventory, is boosting profits. The company said last week that its sales and profits for the most recent period exceeded those of the year ago quarter and also of the same quarter in 2019.
And yet they're having trouble paying their workers a living wage.
Yeah, they're saving up to buy the robot army. Quote, one of the positive effects of COVID was that we got religion. Well, hold on. Was that we got religion around inventory. Larry Grishow, Executive Vice President of Supply Chain and Procurement for Abercrombie and Fitch Co., said 2 weeks ago.
They're still alive?
We learned we could do more with less. Hold on. One of the positive effects of COVID was that we got religion around inventory.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay. We got religion.
Yeah, like they hold it more precious. Like inventory is like has a higher value now.
Okay. All right. Okay.
So what they're saying was they used to have to carry way too much inventory, which drove down prices.
Okay. The newfound pricing power is helping to offset the rising costs of labor, shipping, and raw materials, the executive said. Other factors that had weighed on the industry, such as too many stores and unhealthy companies saddled with debt, have begun to ease. Oliver Chen, senior equity research analyst at Cowen Inc., describes the months since the pandemic's start as the, quote, great retail reset.
Great.
I like how the headline is great shopping reset, but the actual quote is great retail reset.
Yeah.
Come on. What is this, New York Times? What was it?
And a perfect analogy for the real great reset, where the great retail reset does not benefit consumers. It benefits large retail corporations who can sell for higher prices, carry less inventory, which can be expensive, and offer less discounts. Great. They're murdering affordability for the consumer for more profits, all due to the pandemic. It's called the Great Retail Reset. It's only good for corporations, or, as Klaus Schwab would put it, stakeholders. Yep. And it's a perfect analogy to the Great Reset, which is it's good for the stakeholders, but not for the average citizen.
Many of the least healthy retailers filed for bankruptcy in recent years and restructured their balance sheets, including J. Crew Group Inc., J.C. Penney Co., and Neiman Marcus Group Ltd., putting them on stronger footing. Others, such as Pier 1 Imports Inc. and Lord & Taylor, closed all their stores and reemerged online only. The percent of U.S. retailers that defaulted on their debt spiked to 20% last year compared to 6% for all corporate issuers tracked by S&P Global Rating. This year, the retail default rate has fallen to about 1.5%, more in line with the broader market. Goes on here. I don't think there's anything else.
Kind of funny, too, how the symptoms of this great retail reset mimic perfectly the symptoms of mass inflation.
Yeah.
Weird. Isn't that weird how inflation and the great retail reset both have the exact same symptoms?
Yeah, it's a super coincidence. There's
what a coincidence, yeah.
No shenanigans there. But there you go.
Well,
more resetting.
Yeah. Along the same lines, let's do a little money segment here.
Ooh.
Money printer go brrr.
Coming from WTVBAM.com. The headline is Exclusive. UN warns of colossal collapse of Afghan banking system. Surprise, surprise. The United Nations on Monday pushed for urgent action to prop up Afghanistan's banks. The United Nations on Monday pushed for urgent action to prop up Afghanistan's banks, warning that a spike in people unable to repay loans, lower deposits, and cash liquidity crunch could cause the financial system to collapse within months. In a 3-page report on Afghanistan's banking, and 3 pages, huh? It's a 3-page report from the UN. I don't think they've ever put out a 3-page report on anything.
They're on a tight budget.
It's just 3 pages, 72-point font, 1 word per page. Afghanistan is screwed. In a 3-page report on Afghanistan's banking and financial system seen by Reuters, the UN Development Program said the economic cost of a banking system collapse and the consequent negative social impact would be colossal. Abrupt withdrawal of most foreign development support after the Taliban seized power on August 15th from Afghanistan's Western-backed government has sent the economy into freefall, putting a severe strain on the banking system, which set weekly withdrawal limits to stop a run on deposits. Quote, Afghanistan's financial and bank payment systems are in disarray. The bank-run problem must be resolved quickly to improve Afghanistan's limited production capacity and prevent the banking system from collapsing, the UNDP reported. Finding a way to avert a collapse is complicated by international and unilateral sanctions on Taliban leaders. Quote, we need to find a way to make sure that if we support the banking sector, we are not supporting Taliban, Abdullah al-Dardari, head of UNDP in Afghanistan, told Reuters. Quote, we are in such a dire situation that we need to think of all possible options, and we have to think outside the box, he said. Quote, what used to be 3 months ago unthinkable has to become thinkable now. Afghanistan's banking system was already vulnerable before the Taliban came to power, but since then, development aid has dried up. Billions of dollars in Afghan assets have been frozen abroad, and the United Nations and aid groups are now struggling to get enough cash into the country. And it goes on. I'm not sure if it's totally... Yeah, let's keep going. Under the mattress, the UNDP's proposal to save the banking system include a deposit insurance scheme, measures to ensure adequate liquidity for short and medium-term needs, as well as credit guarantees and loan repayment delay options. Quote, coordination with the international financial institutions with their extensive experience of the Afghan financial system would be critical to this process, UNDP said in its report, referring to the World Bank and International Monetary Fund. The United Nations has repeatedly warned since the Taliban took over that Afghanistan's economy is on the brink of a collapse that would likely further fuel a refugee crisis. UNDP said that if the banking system fails, it could take decades to rebuild. The UNDP report said that with current trends and withdrawal restrictions, about 40% of Afghanistan's deposit base will be lost by the end of the year. It said banks have stopped extending new credit and that non-performing loans had almost doubled to 57% in September from the end of 2020. If this rate continues of non-performing loans, the banks may not have a chance to survive in the next 6 months, and I am being optimistic, said Dardari. Liquidity has also been a problem. Afghan banks heavily relied on physical shipments of U.S. dollars. Mm-hmm. Remember the pallets of dollars? Mm-hmm. That would come in with the military paid to pedophilic warlords in the area. That's what they're referring to here. Afghan banks heavily relied on physical shipments of U.S. dollars, which have stopped. When it comes to the local Afghani currency, al-Dardari said that while there is about $4 billion worth of Afghanis in the economy, only about 500,000 worth is in circulation. Quote, the rest is sitting under the mattress or under the pillow because people are afraid, he said. As the United Nations seeks to avert famine in Afghanistan, al-Dardari also warned about the consequences of a banking collapse for trade finance. Quote, Afghanistan last year imported about $7 billion worth of goods and products and services, mostly foodstuffs. If there is no trade finance, the interruption is huge, he said. Without the banking system, none of this can happen. So the UN putting out a report urging the United Nations and its banking partners like the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank to come in and prop up the Afghani economy, which is up until recently was America's job, which a lot of people had problems with. But there's a very specific risk here, Gonz, which is, if the UN doesn't come in and do this, help them out, that leaves it open for the Chinese to do so. And remember, during the Afghani pullout, one of our biggest worries here on this show was that it would open up a void for China to use its border with Afghanistan to complete its Belt and Road Initiative, the trade lines from China, the overland trade lines from China to the Middle East and Europe and Africa, and they were kind of stuck. They didn't have a way to get into the Middle East. They couldn't go through India, and they couldn't. It wasn't really. It didn't make sense to go up through Russia. But to come through Afghanistan was the perfect solution. So Biden pulls out, leaves a void where China can come in. But how does China actually, what is the mechanism of China's takeover of Afghanistan? Well, it's the good old trick, Gonz, where you find a failing nation, a financially failing nation. China comes in, gives them a loan for some, astronomical amount of money that the terms pretty much are calculated to make it so they could never pay it back. And suddenly China has free access to the Afghani geography to build their railroads through their border and use it for their self-admittedly brilliant world takeover plan. So, it's not just that the Afghani banking system is failing. I think it was always expected and perhaps even meant this way. Because it gives an opportunity for any one of the. Now, the U.S. invented this, coming in and giving failing nations a loan that they could never repay as a way of gaining control over that nation.
Hasn't the UN basically done the same thing in like Africa?
Yeah, I mean the world. All these world banking system, the whole world banking system does this all the time. I mean, I think the U.S. basically invented it, but this is something perpetrated by financial powers over the financially vulnerable countries in the world all the time. And there's a lot of reasons to do that, because once they can't pay back the loan, then the collateral clauses get activated, you get access to their natural resources and their geography, et cetera, et cetera. So this is the perfect way. The UN's biggest concern here that they are not putting in this article, but is their biggest concern, is they want to gain control over Afghanistan and not let China do it. At this point, it's basically going to start a bidding war with the government, quote unquote, government of Afghanistan and the rest of the world powers. And whoever makes the best deal, whoever gives them the most money, Afghanistan is more of a tribal culture than a centralized government culture. Its centralized government has never once worked in Afghanistan. And when big financial world leaders come in, that money gets swooped up by the leaders, the warlords, the corrupt government officials, and the country gets handed over to the next superpower. And so there's going to be a bidding war for this exact thing between the UN, the world's financial powers, including China. And we'll see how it goes. But this is exactly the mechanism of what we talked about during the Afghani pullout and how China could take over.
Well, I think China is also they already rolled out a digital yuan. I think they're planning to roll out their full CBDC, which is a central bank digital currency, in 2022. And so it would be on time, I guess, to roll it out right about the time that, or at least do so in another country where they can monitor every transaction. I mean, we've talked about the digital yuan and the CBDC and how it's different from other cryptocurrencies and how the tracking and all that kind of stuff. But
I'm not sure if that's necessary for the Afghan takeover, but it certainly helps position them to free up the type of capital that they would need to make an offer better than anybody else.
Yeah, I don't know. It would be very interesting to see depending on who comes in to save the day, how transparent, quote unquote, that's been a buzzword. For example, the Taliban, like let's say the Taliban, continue to have influence and power there, and they get funded by China. Does all their buying of weapons and everything else, you're basically handing yourself over to the country of China at that point, aren't you? In terms of all the surveillance and the money and everything.
I think that's what they want. I think that's the best case scenario for the Taliban because, the UN cannot be seen as supporting the Taliban.
Right.
But China doesn't care. They care so little about the sort of moral aspects of supporting the Taliban. In fact, perhaps secretly, they would even prefer to fund the Taliban to continue to fight the influence in the West. And because if you're China and you want to secure the use of Afghanistan and you're fighting against the West to do this, the Taliban in China would be aligned in this anti-Western ideology. And so I think the Taliban in China teaming up to work it out in Afghanistan is the perfect solution for, anti-Western ideologies.
Especially it
seems almost inevitable that this is what is going to happen.
Yeah. So I'm trying to get clarity on, there was talking about the frozen funds. Where are those funds being held? Is that in the billions of dollars Afghan banking system? Since the development aid had dried up, billions of dollars in Afghan assets have been frozen abroad. Okay, so just abroad. And the UN
because that's where all the money was going. Money would come in. The Afghani government was basically just a fake government. It wouldn't exist without the U.S. It couldn't operate more than a day without the U.S. Pulling the strings. And that's you heard during the pullout of Afghanistan, all these Afghani government officials were taking millions of dollars each out of the country in cash.
Yeah.
And, that's just sort of what the U.S. money pumping into Afghanistan was going to. It was going to warlords. It was going to corrupt government officials. It was going to, it was going to everybody but the Afghani people. And, it was where do warlords and corrupt government officials and everybody keep their money? Well, they keep a lot of it in cash. They keep a lot of it in gold chains, and then the rest of it they try to hide in foreign bank accounts.
Yeah,
precisely where it wouldn't help the Afghani people or Afghani government.
Yeah.
So yes, and between all that money being frozen, that's what they're saying. There's just no money left there.
Yeah,
which is exactly what was predicted during the Afghanistan pullout.
Yeah,
it's most of the money in Afghanistan came from the U.S., and then it went straight to warlords and, Afghani elites, and then went out of the country, either in duffel bags or in foreign bank accounts. And what are we, 10 months in, 11 months? When was the Afghanistan
I think it was
pullout?
over
in March or something?
Yeah,
over
March
the summer,
or
maybe?
April, yeah.
Yeah, so we're 6 months or something
less than that,
after
maybe,
the Afghanistan pullout, and the entire economy is collapsing.
Yeah, well, yeah, like you said, it was basically a money laundering operation with the U.S. money printer through the government there.
Totally.
But all that financial turmoil, what it creates, the desire for the people to want is Bitcoin.
Bitcoin go to moon.
Here's a report from AP. It's being mirrored on Yahoo News. El Salvador to build cryptocurrency-fueled, quote, Bitcoin City. It's happening, Basil. Bitcoin City is being built in El Salvador.
Bitcoin City, another one.
La Libertad, El Salvador. In a rock concert-like atmosphere, El Salvador President Nayib Bukele announced that his government will build an oceanside Bitcoin city as the base of at the base of a volcano. Bukele used a gathering
Perfect.
Yeah, that's
Perfect
not set
location.
up for Pompeii 2.0 or anything.
Yeah.
Bukele used a gathering of Bitcoin enthusiasts Saturday night to launch his latest idea, much as he used an earlier Bitcoin conference in Miami to announce in a video message that El Salvador would be the first country to make the cryptocurrency legal tender. A bond offering would happen in 2022 entirely in Bitcoin, Bukele said, wearing his signature backwards baseball cap. And 60 days after financing was ready, construction would begin. The city will be built near the Conchagua, am I saying that right? Conchagua volcano to take advantage of geothermal energy to power both the city and Bitcoin mining, the energy-intensive solving of complex mathematical calculations day and night to verify currency transactions. Wow, that sentence actually sums up Bitcoin mining fairly well. I've never seen it done in one sentence. The government is already running...
Code.
Was that?
They finally cracked the code.
They did it. The government is running a pilot Bitcoin mining venture at another geothermal power plant beside the Tecapa volcano. The oceanside Conchagua volcano sits in southeastern El Salvador on the Gulf of Fonseca. The government will provide land and infrastructure and work to attract investors. The only tax collected there will be the value-added tax, half of which will be used to pay the municipal bonds and the rest for municipal infrastructure and maintenance. Bukele also said there would be no property, income, or municipal taxes, and the city would have zero carbon dioxide emission. Wow. Sure. The city would be built with attracting foreign investment in mind. There would be residential areas, malls, restaurants, and a port, Bukele said. The president talked of digital education, technology, and sustainable public transportation. Quote, "Invest here and earn all the money you want," Bukele told the cheering crowd in English at the closing of the Latin American Bitcoin and Blockchain Conference being held in El Salvador. Bitcoin has been legal tender alongside the U.S. dollar since September 7th. The government is backing Bitcoin with a $150 million fund to incentivize Salvadorians to use it. The government offered $30 worth of credit to those using the digital wallet. Critics have warned that the currency's lack of transparency could attract increasing criminal activity to the country and that the digital currency's wild swings in value would pose a risk to those holding it. It's always the attracting criminals, even though the fiat, as we just saw, the biggest crimes in the last century were done using fiat currency and done by the central banks and governments. Bitcoin was originally created to operate outside government-controlled financial systems, and Bukele says it will help attract foreign investments to El Salvador and make it cheaper for Salvadorians living abroad to send money home to their families. Just more concerns about Bukele consolidating power. The U.S. government, in response, said it would shift its aid away from government agencies to civil society organizations. This month, Bukele sent a proposal to Congress that would require organizations receiving foreign funding to register as foreign agents. And that's the end of the article. So,
is this where we make our new Canary Cry headquarters?
It sounds like in the meat
El Salvador sounds like the safest place for
I'm
crypto.
just worried in the meatverse if we do spot out some land and build our little canarium on there, that it just melts down. It gets buried under the weight of a fiery rock.
Volcanic eruption.
Well, I guess in judgment it's not going to matter, but if we're thinking sustainable for the church, I don't know.
Maybe we would be protecting Bitcoin Town because God wouldn't want to vulcanize us.
Well, we don't know that.
We don't know that.
I wouldn't say for sure.
We don't know that.
But yeah, this is it's interesting. I the grander scheme of Bitcoin and is it a one world currency and all that kind of stuff. Watching El Salvador do this is fascinating, especially with the young president like Bukele, and just how he's moving forward with it, taking no prisoners, just going for it. And, the way it's being spoken about in the mainstream narrative is, oh, this is bad. He's going rogue. El Salvador going against the system. But if you think about it, it really can be part of the controlled opposition, where part of the elite agenda is to have this independent side of the libertarian types who want to maintain freedom, quote unquote, to build their version of things. Because if you think like a warlord, I guess, you wouldn't want your people or your resources to go building all the infrastructure. You want opposing infrastructure to build it all, and then you can just take it over later, So
who's the warlord in this analogy?
Just the reptilian overlords.
Oh, okay.
They don't.
You're saying the lizard people are convincing the El Salvadorian president to create the cyber dystopia so they can just come in and take it over.
Well, yeah, you need
Does
the
that mean
right-left
Klaus
paradigm.
Schwab's the good guy?
Yeah, well, yeah, you need the good guy, bad guy, right-left paradigm. You need the two-party system. So in the context of globalism, what are the two parties going to be? And as far as I can tell, it's going to be a more, hey, we're down with the central banks and the EU and the CDC, like that crowd. And then we're independent, we're for freedom, we're for liberty, that crowd. In the technocracy here. And
so who's the actual winner? This sounds like a pretty dire situation you're describing.
I don't think there is a winner.
There's no winner, and there's the inevitable. I mean, I guess we already know the inevitability of the beast system.
Yeah, prophetically speaking, it's all going to one guy a group of people, and then one guy ultimately who seems to take control of everything. So yeah, I mean, but point being that in American politics, we have the right-left paradigm. In world politics, they're going to have a similar structure in terms of a one-world government. You can't have one party. I'm sure they want one party, but reality, that's not going to really fly. So I can see controlled opposition here. And I'm not saying that, Bukele and the El Salvadorian people are in cahoots with the New World Order and therefore they're doing this. At least, consciously. But I same thing with the internet. They released it. They had to allow the people to build on the internet, and then they can bust out the social media, the centralized, controlled things that roll out like a Facebook or a whatever, to take advantage of that infrastructure that people built. So anyway, that's my whole angle on it.
It's a legit take.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see here. I think it's time to take another break and check up on some artwork.
Yes, it's wake up time.
No, it's not.
It's break time. Come on, take a break.
Wrong button.
Okay.
Wrong
All
button.
right. It's time to thank some more producers. This time, we're thanking some producers who have helped out the show with their time and their talent. And we're so grateful to them because it is a very important part of the Canary Cry culture. And we appreciate it very, very much. Gonz, what are we looking at? Oh, but don't go anywhere because after this break, we're talking about AI.
Oh, yeah. Big stuff from AI, yeah.
Kissinger, we're talking about Europe's new AI law. And, of course, we'll close out the show with, you ever feel like you're being watched?
I do, actually.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm being watched right now.
Whoa.
Very
creepy, dude.
Yeah. That's what happens when you talk in front of a webcam, I guess.
Uh-huh.
All right. Yes, we thank not just the people who come in with their treasure, but also people that produce the show with their time and talent. And we want to thank Jade Bouncerson first and foremost for doing the timestamps for episode 413. Thank you, Jade Bouncerson. And did you want to do the prayer thing now for
yeah, we have a couple of them, actually.
Okay.
We'll start. Yeah, let's do that. We'll start out with producer Newmati. We'll have an update for those who remember. Newmati was having a run-in with the COVID here, but we got an email so the Prayducers can keep Newmati in their prayers. Why don't we hit that Prayducer jingle?
Prayducers, assemble!
Got an email here that says, Basil and Gonz, I send my greetings from the other side of COVID.
Ooh.
Took a 5-day course of ivermectin along with D and C and zinc, starting about 2 days into actual symptoms. I had typical symptoms for maybe 5 days and only a few spikes into fever with no breathing issues or low oxygen saturation. All I have now is a slight lingering cough with some congestion. I'd say my experience would support the use of ivermectin as safe and effective, but I guess that is only going to count as anecdotal evidence to some people. Yes, well, it is technically anecdotal evidence, but, it's good to get as many of these anecdotes as possible, and more importantly, glad you're feeling better. However, I do have a prayer request. Right after my COVID started, I noticed a pain in the back of my thigh. When I looked closer in the mirror, I saw the typical bullseye rash that you get when a tick bite infects you with Lyme disease. I'm usually pretty careful to check for ticks after working in my yard, lots of deer around, but must have missed this one. My doctor immediately prescribed me a 21-day course of doxycycline, which I've been taking for almost 10 days now. The doxy has been tough on me, causing upset stomach and loss of appetite, and just today, some other gastro issues. Based on my reading of the med literature, 10 days and 21 days doxycycline have about the same good treatment effectiveness, so I plan to stop the doxy at 10 days and then talk with my doctor, since the side effects are making me extremely weak. I ask for a prayer that, 1, the 10-day course would have been long enough to clear the Lyme infection, and 2, that my doctor agrees with my decision to stop the doxy, and or he has some alternatives if he thinks I need more treatment. Thanks and God bless. Well, sorry to hear that, producer Newmati. Glad to hear that you recovered quickly from the COVID. That's no fun, but good on you there. But yes, this is not fun. The Lyme disease is definitely not fun, but early treatment is the key. And yes, Prayducers will keep Newmati in prayer as he continues to recover from this string of bad things going on. Anything to add there, Gonzo?
If I was a microbiologist, I would be always constantly looking into like a microscope. Like if they told me I had COVID.
You mean a microbiologist like Newmati?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would spit in a vial or something and look
Check
in
it
the
out.
microscope. I want to see COVID.
Pull some Carrie Madej.
I see machines.
Now, we have another prayer request here, and this one comes from Ryan N., who is the artist for Advent of Logos, the graphic novel we've been slowly revealing here on this show. We have no Advent of Logos page to share today, but we did get an email from Ryan N., and it goes like this. Howdy, Basil and Gonz. Life's been crazy on my end, and I'm so sorry to say no Monday comic page. I'll send it in as soon as it's inked and shaded. But I was wondering if I could ask for a prayer request, of course. Stepmom has COVID. My grandma's having heart issues. My sister Alex took in a student of hers who was about to be put back in foster care. The child had a seizure over the weekend, and she's feeling overwhelmed. Thanks again for all you do, and have a great week. Ryan N. Well, again, the pilings on continue. So Prayducers out there will keep Ryan N. in prayer. Again, that's for Ryan N.'s stepmom who has COVID, grandma with heart issues, and sister Alex, who's taking care of a foster child who's had seizures over the weekend. That is a lot of stuff to happen at once.
Yeah.
And we totally understand how overwhelming that can feel. So we're putting it out to the Prayducers out there, the producers who have committed all around the world to pray for the Canary Cry producers and just anything that needs to be prayed for here on the show. So there you go, Ryan N. You're in safe hands with the Prayducers.
All right. Yep. Okay, let's thank a jingle maker. I think we only had one here.
We have a new Let's jingle. Do it.
And we received a note from Psalm 40. He said, hey guys, I'm working on an abomination, parentheses, abomination track right now, but I'm having a hard time finding some of the Obama clips I want. Anyway, someone in the chat requested Psalm 82, so here it is. I'm playing with some other options beside the robot voice, so don't get too angry with me just yet. This is a project still in development, and it's a couple minutes long. I'm going to play a few seconds of it here. What happened to it? Did I get rid of it here? No. I just had it in front of me. Here it is. Okay, here we go.
God has taken his place in the divine council. In the midst of the gods he holds judgment. How long will you so-called gods judge unjustly and show partiality to the wicked? You are to give justice to the weak and the fatherless, maintain the right of the afflicted and the destitute, rescue the weak and the needy, deliver them from the hand of the wicked. They have neither knowledge nor understanding. They walk about in darkness. I will play the piece in its entirety at the end of the show. It's a good track. Good track. Always got the good feel, good beats, and then scripture over it. So
Vibes,
I like it.
Man. Vibes. Thank you very much, Psalm 40.
Thank you, Psalm 40. Time for some art.
One art, please.
We're going to start with Dame Allie of the Skillet Nation.
One art, please. One art, please. Another one from Allie now. Here it is.
And the note accompanying this piece here is titled, or says, Kamala Rama. She did it, and she's got the sticker to prove it. And it's a pencil drawing of
this is great.
Kamala Harris.
Yeah, portrait of Kamala Harris, again in the penciled portrait style. And she's wearing a little sticker on her lapel here that says, basically queen for 85 minutes. Which is true. She was basically queen for 85 minutes. The first woman to hold the presidential power, no matter how little credit other women want to give her. They can't take it away.
I'm noticing that Allie, did not do lizard eyes on Kamala. I wonder if that's like you're not a real lizard person, so you cannot be true queen of America.
You're not seeing lizard eyes? I'm seeing lizard eyes. Gotta get in there nice and close, baby.
I don't know, maybe.
There is a full top to bottom pupil.
I see some glares on there, so maybe under the glare.
Yeah, well, Allie definitely added some of the sort of, I don't know how else to put it, besides the juicy details of the eyeball, making the eyeball look wet on this one.
Yeah.
That's some next level stuff. I love it, Allie. But I think I see a lizard eyeball in there.
Yeah, it's probably there. Yeah. She just hides it well, I guess.
Yes,
Kamala.
well, That's what you got to do if you want to be queen for 85 minutes. Thank you very much, Dame Allie. Very well done.
Thank you, Dame Allie. Next up, we have Sir Dove, Knight of Rusbeltia.
One art, please, from Dove.
And we got a note from Dove today, and a little different. He said, peace. So since today's episode makes 77 in a row I've produced art for, I wanted to switch it up and do something a little different. So I painted a couple of things for the show to do as a giveaway. The first is a hand-painted and resin-coated cross with Matthew 10:16 written on it. And that's what I'm showing here on the screen. Very nice, blue and yellow.
Love it.
The second is a hand-painted wooden sign that says Shalom. I'm showing that one. I like that one.
Yeah, cool. I love his font work is very sort of street arty.
Yes.
Like Zuckerberg would make it an NFT.
That comes to life in the metaverse.
Yeah.
The cross is around 12 inches tall, and the sign is around 12 inches wide. I also want to include a Love Thy Neighbor bandana I made last year, and I think he's got a photo of that. A couple photos of it. These are all hand screen printed, and I got them from a company that hand tie-dyes all of the bandanas individually. No Flippy involved.
Ooh, made by
bandanas.
Humans.
Yes. I'll leave the details of the giveaway to you guys, maybe whoever signs up for the newsletter or anyone who signs up for the calendar, but whatever you think, just let me know the contact info of the winner, and I'll ship it out to them.
That's great.
Thanks,
okay,
Dove.
well, we've got a sweet hand-created package here from Sir Dove. I am actually thinking that this is a real, again, Canary Cry collector's piece here.
Yeah.
You know, Dove has been one of our most prolific and talented artists, and you can actually own a piece created by the man himself. I think this is pretty cool for some Canarians out there. So we will discuss how we want to do the next giveaway. It has been a little bit since we've done a giveaway, so we'll talk about that, and probably be done first thing after Thanksgiving, I'm thinking. Yeah, Gonz?
Yeah, something like that. Maybe we can do a clip off.
Sweet. Ooh, a clip off. Oh, I like your.
Sugar the Beast is thinking the same thing in the chat there. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I think this is a divine
we got to
intervention.
figure out some way to motivate the clipping people. I do know Sigra has sent in a clip before, and it has helped. I've realized that the clipping feature, at least on Twitch, and I haven't figured it out on YouTube, it doesn't tell me the names of the person who clipped it. So if someone's doing some clipping of the show out there, send me an email and let me know which clips were yours. And also do more clips. There's only been one clip for this episode, and there was only like 2 for last episode. For those who don't know, you can clip the show live as good things happen, whether it's something funny or a good story or an analysis or something. On Twitch, it's if you hover over the video, it's that little movie clacker icon. You click on that, and you can create a 30-second clip of something. On YouTube, I don't actually know exactly how it works on YouTube, but Sigra does. It's just a button. It's a clip button
that says clip. Yeah.
Yeah, down by the dislike, the like, and the share button, it says clip. You can make a clip of the show. Yeah, that's super helpful when you guys do that. But seems like y'all need some motivation to help us clip the show. So that's actually a pretty good idea to try out. Okay. Well, we'll release the details about that in a future episode.
Yep. That's all I got. We got the microfiction.
Yeah. Slow art date. Well, not that slow, but yeah. But no additional arts. But yes, we do have microfiction. Let's do it. This is from Runk Smash, our Canary Cry microfictionist. And here's the next line in the saga. It goes like this. Our intrepid Asian super spy dons his VR headset and enters the metaverse, passing the swole Shiba Inu fighting the jacked Ben Shapiro. He enters an alley with the big eyes. B, it's G. 23 is treading a fine line, he says. The eyes blink a response. So, in this timeline, I have taken the form of just a hidden pair of gigantic eyes floating in an alleyway. And it sounds like the mysterious stranger with a beard, which I thought was going to be me, is actually Monty 23, the 23rd descendant of the Monty cat clan in the Basil household here. So, yeah, okay. I like the way this one's shaping up.
Yeah. I like all of them.
Okay. All right. We have anything else to do in this break?
We have
Feels like there was something else.
Meetups.
Canary Cry Meetup.
Go to CanaryCry.Meetups.com. Look for a meetup happening near you, or if there's not one happening near you, learn the ways to put one on yourself. Be the one to build the meetup.
Wow.
For right now. Is that weird?
It's just, you never cease to amaze me in your creative ways of saying what I would suspect would be simple things, but you've made them even better.
I like to complicate everything. You know this. Nothing is simple with me. It's always the hard road, the scenic route.
Yes.
Ciara's meetups. She's got a couple coming up here. SoCal on December 4th, 2021 at 1 p.m. Lincoln Memorial Shrine. It's in Redlands, California. Also, Washington and Canada meetup. Peace Arch National Park, March 19th, 2022. A couple months out. And then, I thought I put the Zoom meetup flyer on here. Thought I added it in there. There it is. Yeah, there we go. Ciara, every third Saturday of every month, she holds a Zoom meetup, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Pacific time, and all the info is there on the website, CanaryCry.Meetups.com. Go check it out. EU meetup, just November 27th, coming up. Mr. Jag at protonmail.com is the contact there. It's supposed to happen at the Vienna Christmas Market. And still waiting on maybe an update on what to do there because of the situation in Austria and other areas over there. They're quite strict on the lockdowns.
Yeah, no new updates, but we'll keep you posted as we hear from Mr. Jag.
Also, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, December 20th, 2021, 6:30 p.m. at Tsunami Sushi on the roof of the Shaw Arts Center downtown. RSVP or contact Josiah, that's Josiah B. Dyer at gmail.com about the Baton Rouge, Louisiana meetup, December 20th, 2021, coming up in about a month. And then a few weeks after that, or a couple weeks after that, North Idaho, also hosted by Josiah. Meetup Part 2, Saturday, January 8th, 2022. It will be a late Christmas, complete with white elephant gift giving. Location yet to be determined. That's the Coeur d'Alene, Idaho meetup. Florida meetup, January 22nd, 2022. It's the Florida Panhandle CCC meetup at 5:33 p.m. at the Ye Old Brothers Brewery in Navarre, Florida. Kids welcome. RSVP kmbrown815 at gmail.com and jackie.umfrey at mail.com. And by the way, Jackie's just sent us an email. A couple emails, actually, but she sent us a recent email here. And all it was a link to 2045.com.
Yes.
So I responded with a sunglass emoji.
Okay.
Because we're cool. And I had, in parentheses, the date, or the month, I guess, April 2012, and a link to episode number 005 of Canary Cry Radio, when we discussed the 2045 Global Future Congress, where the Russian mogul billionaire talked about achieving immortality by the year 2045.
Yeah.
So Jackie, we were on it in 2012, 9 years ago. We were talking about the 2045
the transhumanism future. Yes, has been one of our core investigative genres.
Yeah, a beat.
Yeah, our beat. Yeah.
So there you go. That's the Florida meetup. Also Bend, Oregon, December 11th coming up. Central Oregon Canary Cry meetup. Crux fermentation project. Absolutely no shills allowed. RSVP Gabe Garcia 87 at yahoo.com. And also, South Carolina meetup, January 22nd, 2022. It's the South Carolina Super Southeast Mega Meetup. Saturday, January 22nd, 2022. Time, 4:30 p.m. Location, Yeehaw Brewing Company, or Brewing Co. Greenville, South Carolina, featuring Prince's famous Nashville hot chicken on-site venue, and times subject to change according to interested attendees. Contact producer JC or producer Morv at sccanarians at protonmail.com. And that is it. That's all the meetups.
Okay, there you go. Make sure to go to one of these meetups, folks. It's always a blast. You meet people in your area who listen to the show, who are on the level. It's incredibly important to make those in-person connections, especially as we move into this uncertain future. It's important to get a little, find your little tribe of people in your area. And they're super easy and they're everywhere. And if there is not one at CanaryCry.Meetups.com, go there. You can see all the meetups happening. If there's not one there near you within driving distance, put one on yourself. It's easy. Just pick a day and a time and a place and let us know about it. And we will tell people. Then all you got to do is show up and have a good time, meet some people. Very important. Go do it. Thank you to everybody who is currently hosting meetups. And remember, when you're at these meetups, make sure to send us a little report afterwards. Let us know how it went. You can also download and print out your own Basil and Gonz heads off of CanaryCry.Meetups.com. Print them out, cut them out. Put them on sticks or something. Then, you can feel like we're there too. It'll be a blast. Take some pictures. And if you want to get real nasty, you can record a little greeting from your meetup. Just turn on your voice memo, pass it around, have everybody say hi, think outside the cage, that kind of stuff. Maybe introduce themselves if that's what they're into. Knights and dames, if you arrive, remember, everybody with a meetup, if a knight or a dame shows up to your meetup, they're royalty, man. You gotta take care of those people. Yes, so all that fun stuff over at CanaryCry.Meetups.com. And before we wake up, Gonz.
Hold on.
Okay.
I know what you've been up to, and I also voted, so let's see what happens.
Oh, good. Okay, yeah, so I was running another poll. I'm kind of having fun. I don't know if I'll do this forever, but it's kind of fun to run little polls during the show and then check in during the breaks. The most recent poll was, what's your favorite apocalypse currency? I figured, we should figure out where everybody stands. The options were Bitcoin, precious metals, drugs and alcohol, and chicken nuggets and tater tots. And here are the results. There were 63 votes. It's trying to wait for that 66, but ended early. And it goes like this. Precious metals won out at 36%.
Okay.
But trailing only 4 points behind precious metals was chicken nuggets and tater tots at 31%.
That was my vote.
It's a good one. I mean, it's, you could extend that out to food in general, but specifically chicken nuggets and tater tots. Drugs and alcohol came in at 25%, notoriously a valuable commodity in the apocalypse for trading purposes, of course, kids. And Bitcoin only came in at 6%, Gonz.
You spelled tater tots wrong, apparently.
Okay.
You said tator instead of tater.
Okay. I'm pretty sure I spelled them right, but okay. There you go. Bitcoin. Not very many Bitcoin holders in the apocalypse. It's all about that precious metals and the chicken nuggies, baby.
I just checked. You did misspell tater tots, but it's okay. It's not a big deal.
Don't care.
Here's the thing. I think precious metals obviously is of tremendous value in terms of God's money and all that kind of thing. But in the apocalypse, you can't eat gold.
That's what I was thinking.
You can't do much with it.
In a true apocalypse, the gold can. It depends on the severity. We've never given. I think there's a range of severity of apocalypses.
Yes.
There is a certain point on that continuum of severity of apocalypse where gold is as useless as fiat currency. Then it's all about the tater tots, baby.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Tater tots and chicken you will be, maybe other than the drugs and alcohol, you would be very popular on your street if you had endless chicken and tater tots.
Totally. When I get the bunker going, when I get the bunker going, there's going to be a sealed vault filled with cheap liquor and drugs, because that is, in a time of despair, that becomes a very valuable commodity that can be traded for some essential goods.
You heard it here first, folks. Basil is the merchant selling pharmakia from his bunker. He is the one
big pharma of the the apocalypse town.
Beware.
Yeah. Well, okay, when you put it that way.
Okay.
At least, yeah, I'll be as rich as Big Pharma in the apocalypse.
Great.
Anyways, let's wake up.
Yes, it's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
Artificial intelligence.
You know what? Firth points out something important, which is that alcohol has numerous uses besides drinking. It's not just about drinking. Disinfection.
Yeah, disinfect. You can clean things. Yeah,
clean. I don't know. This is pretty much either get drunk or clean something, but
or do both,
or get drunk and clean something. Okay, yeah. What do we got? Oh, yes, I'll take this story here since we're at the end of the show. I think.
Yep.
Actually, no. Why don't you take this one?
Okay. New York Times. A robot wrote this book review in the nonfiction section, and there's a little header here that says, I'm sure one day it'll be unrecognizable. It'll be like talking to an old friend. It'll feel natural. You'll be right at home. It'll feel like talking to an unrecognizable. It'll be like an old friend. You'll be natural at home, right? You'll be... So anyway, I don't know why that was all weird. Age of AI in Our Human Future by Henry A. Kissinger.
Oh.
Still kicking it. Eric Schmidt, former Google CEO and burner, and Daniel Huttenlocher. Got to do more research on this dude. I don't know how he got tagged along to a Kissinger Eric Schmidt writing of an article, but...
Now, is this a real article or a real book, or is this a fictional thing that a robot made up?
Let's find out.
Okay.
One of the great promises of technology is that it can do the work that humans find too boring or arduous. In the 19th and 20th century, factory machines relieved us of repetitive manual labor and back-breaking farm work. In this century, artificial intelligence has taken care of a few more tasks: curating Spotify playlists, selecting the next YouTube video, vacuuming the floor, and so on. But many more mind-numbing activities remain ripe for the picking. The experts promise us that someday all of our least favorite chores, including complex cognitive ones like interviewing job candidates or managing global supply chains, will be outsourced to machines. But that day has not yet arrived. Or has it?
Dun, dun, dun.
After finishing The Age of AI, a new book about artificial intelligence by Henry A. Kissinger, Eric Schmidt, and Daniel Huttenlocher, I found myself unmoved by the prospect of reviewing it. I've read dozens of books about AI, and while the conceit of this one was intriguing, bringing together a 98-year-old diplomat, a former Google chief executive, and an MIT professor, that's what that last guy is, the book itself was a fairly forgettable entry in the genre. Burn. Then I got a bright idea. What if I could have an AI finish this review and save myself the trouble? Really thinking ahead there, guy. What's his name? Kevin Roose at the New York Times. So I fired up Pseudowrite, an AI writing program I've been experimenting with recently. The app uses GP3, the cutting-edge AI system developed by the San Francisco-based OpenAI, which acts as a kind of turbocharged version of Gmail's autocomplete feature. Provide a snippet of text, and GPT-3 will try to complete it, using everything it has learned from ingesting billions of examples of other people's writing. It does this with the help of a supercomputer containing some 285,000 processors, and a multi-layered neural network that ranks among the world's most powerful AI engines. The authors of The Age of AI call GPT-3 one of several promising technologies that are producing a, quote, revolution in human affairs. I pasted the first several paragraphs of this review into Pseudowrite, and I asked the AI to finish. Here's what it wrote. Okay, so from here on out, it's the AI speaking.
Okay.
Henry Kissinger. Hold on. Let me, I got a text coming here. Okay, sorry. Henry Kissinger, Eric Schmidt, and Daniel Huttenlocher, The Age of AI, is a bold new book on artificial intelligence that will become the go-to guide for anyone who wants to understand this transformative technology. The authors have examined the full range of AI technologies from computer vision systems to natural language processing and written about them in a way that will appeal to both experts and laypeople. One of the most inspiring aspects of this book is its scope. The authors delve deeply The authors delve deeply into the potential of AI in all areas of human enterprise. They describe the impact of AI on healthcare, economics, geopolitics, law, urban development, governance, journalism, the military, and even the life sciences. Kissinger, Schmidt, and Huttenlocher are not afraid to explore the darkest side of AI either. They are clear-eyed about the ways that AI could enable dictators to monitor their citizens and manipulate information to incite people to commit violence. Although AI is already making our lives better in many ways, Kissinger, Schmidt, and Huttenlocher cautioned, that it will take us as a species many years to create a system as powerful as we deserve. They wisely suggest that we not lose sight of the values we want to instill in this new machine intelligence. Thank you, GP3. Now a few notes. So that right there was what the AI wrote. It's pretty coherent. I don't know if they had to do like a grammar check or something.
Yeah.
But if that's how it came out raw, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's it's kind of the subtle disturbing part of this guy works for the New York Times.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, the subtly disturbing part about this is, especially with the New York Times, but like all book reviews, the whole point of a book review is how did another human enjoy and interpret this work? That's like the whole point of a book review, because it's it's used to suggest the book to another person,
or not. Suggest it, or say don't read it or whatever.
Right, sure. But when you get a robot involved in this, in AI, especially with the notorious sort of problems with internet reviews and bots and things like that, and how manipulated they can get for so many reasons, to have a robot being the one suggesting that you read a book or not is just like another way of handing over the intellectual future of humanity to the AI. Like it's no different. It's actually pretty bad idea. Yeah. And of course, the New York Times would be the one to start pushing this in the public, or at least make it well known.
Yeah. Back to the human here with this analysis here. First, the AI wasn't an unqualified success. It took Sue to write a few tries. On the first attempt, it spit out a series of run-on sentences that hinted that GP3 had gotten stuck in some kind of odd recursive loop. It began, quote, "The book which you are reading at the moment is a book on a nook, which is a book on a book, which is a book on a subject, which is a subject on a subject, which is a subject on a subject," end quote. A few tries later.
It's a mix between like when you use your predictive texting, you know?
Yeah.
You just hit that same button over and over and over and it writes itself. It's a mix between that and like Dr. Seuss.
A few tries later, it seemed to give up on the task of book reviewing altogether and started merely listing the names of tech companies. Quote, Google, Facebook, Apple, Amazon, IBM, Microsoft, Baidu, Tencent, Tesla, Uber, Airbnb, Twitter, Snap, Alibaba, WeChat, Slack. Had a breakdown. Psychotic breakdown. But it warmed up quickly, and within a few minutes, the AI was coming up with impressively cogent paragraphs of analysis, some frankly better than what I could have generated on my own. This speaks to one of the recurring themes of the age of AI, which is that although today's AI systems can be clunky and erratic at times, they are getting better, fast, and will soon match or surpass human proficiency in a number of important tasks, solving problems in ways no human would have thought to solve them. At that point, the authors write, AI will, quote, transform all realms of human experience. Second, while GP3 was correct about the scope of the age of AI, with chapters on everything from social media algorithms to autonomous weapons, it failed to note that all of the broadness comes at a cost. The book feels cursory and shallow in places, and many of its recommendations are puzzlingly vague. Oh, imagine that. Kissinger and Schmidt being vague about the direction of the technology.
Yeah.
In a chapter on the geopolitical risks posed by AI, the authors conclude that, quote, the nations of the world must make urgent decisions regarding what is compatible with concepts of inherent human dignity and moral agency. Parentheses, okay, we'll get right on that. A brief section about TikTok, an app used by more than 1 billion people worldwide, whose ownership by a Chinese company raises legitimately fascinating questions about national sovereignty and free speech, ends with the throwaway observation that, quote, more complex geopolitical and regulatory riddles await us in the near future.
Yeah.
Wow, very encouraging. And when the authors do make specific recommendations, such as a proposal to restrict the use of AI in developing biological weapons, they fail to elaborate on how such an outcome might be achieved or who might stand in its way. Or maybe how are they going to even get that done? Oh, the UN and the billions of dollars being invested in the Great Reset, Agenda 21, Sustainable Development 2030, ESG, Build Back Better, whole deal. Finally, GP3 didn't address the biggest question about the book, which is why it exists at all. Kissinger, who was 66 years old when the World Wide Web was invented, is not a full-time AI practitioner, nor a particularly savvy parser of tech hype. Parentheses, his latest net-worthy foray into the tech world was when he sat on the board of Theranos, the doomed blood testing startup. Schmidt, who spent a decade running Google, in these days preoccupied with trying to scare up military contracts for big tech companies, and while Huttenlocher, the dean of MIT's Schwarzman College of Computing, may be a bona fide subject matter expert, it's not clear how much of the book he actually wrote. That said, the book does get some things right. The authors do a commendable job of avoiding what I call AI fatalism, the belief, sadly common in tech circles, that AI is part of an inevitable future whose course we are powerless to change. Instead, they write that, quote, humans still control AI and have the opportunity to, quote, shape it with our values. They also point out correctly that while many people worry about killer robots to achieve human-level sentience and mow us all down with Uzis, a much bigger near-term danger lurks in the innocuous-seeming AI. Was that
Uzi part in the actual article?
Yes. I'm going to start the sentence over because, yes, I'm reading it
verbatim. That was dumb.
They also point out correctly.
Robots won't use Uzis.
Correctly,
they'll crush us with their extremely strong metal hands.
The Uzi lasers. While many people worry about killer robots who achieve human-level sentience and mow us all down with Uzis, a much bigger near-term danger lurks in the innocuous-seeming AIs we all use every day, from the feed-ranking algorithms of social media apps to the automated dispatch systems that power Uber and Lyft. Quote, without significant fanfare or even visibility, we are integrating non-human intelligence into the basic fabric of human activity, they write. Non-human intelligence. That's the same description as demons many pastors and researchers have used. I remember Russ Tisdar talking about that. Mm-hmm. Demons, demonic forces being non-human intelligence. So there you go. Still, while it could be a useful summary of AI for those just starting to learn about the topic, the age of AI does not advance the ball much. It's a shame how given much access the authors presumably had to the who's who of the AI elite, and it makes me wish that, actually, you know what? It's sunny outside. My dogs need a walk, and I really don't feel like finishing this review. Take it away, GP3, and it lets the AI finish it here. It makes me wish that someone out there would crank out a comprehensive survey text on AI, one that's laser focused on the technical issues, written by industry mavens who are actually doing this stuff day in and day out, and is written in an engaging, clear, plain-spoken style. I couldn't have said it better myself. So I thought it was an interesting article because the New York Times reviewing a book about AI written by Kissinger, Schmidt, and MIT head guy, using AI to help write the review.
Yeah.
It's meta.
Very meta. Very meta.
Super meta.
Yeah, well, that's very interesting. Yeah, and again, New York Times, I think I kind of lean towards the meta-analysis of this, being like, well, hey, the New York Times did it, so why don't we all just start reviewing our books with AI and letting them, take over our media? That would be much more fair, much more accurate. And maybe they're not quite there yet, but the more we do it, the more data they will have to do it better in the future. And then that's the AI takeover of the global intelligentsia, basically.
Yeah.
Artificial intelligentsia.
It'll be interesting to see what kind of algorithms they can roll out in terms of, like, let's say I can see celebrities or something, or maybe, I don't know, academics monetizing AI algos of this type, like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of an example of maybe a Richard Dawkins or something, like a Richard Dawkins algo that will assess the book and give you a review, kind of like a what would Richard Dawkins think of the book kind of thing.
Right. Totally. Yeah. It can go into the sort of licensing of, like the licensing of the image or the avatar, kind of like Bruce Willis, scanned his whole body so they can keep putting him in movies forever, and he can earn money from it.
Yeah.
You can do you can license an artificial intelligence based on your,
values.
whatever, temperament, values, intelligence, thought processes, perspective, stuff like that. Yeah, create an artificial intelligent cognitive avatar.
Right.
And license that out. That's pretty interesting, actually.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I got one here for you. This is coming from VentureBeat.com, and the headline is Europe's AI laws will cost companies a small fortune, but the payoff is trust.
Oh, trust. They're buying our trust is basically what they're
exactly.
saying.
They're paying the government for our trust.
Yeah, great.
Artificial intelligence isn't tomorrow's technology. It's already here now, too, is the legislation proposing to regulate it. Earlier this year, the European Union outlined its proposed artificial intelligence legislation and gathered feedback from hundreds of companies and organizations. The European Commission closed the consultation period in August, and next comes further debate in the European Parliament, as well as banning some uses outright, facial recognition for identification in public spaces, and social scoring, for instance. Its focus is on regulation and review, especially for AI systems deemed high risk, those used in education or employment decisions, say. Any company with a software product deemed high risk will require a Conformité Européenne CE badge to enter the market. The product must be designed to be overseen by humans, avoid automation bias, and be accurate to a level proportionate to its use. Some are concerned about the knock-on effects of this. They argue that it would stifle European innovation as talent is lured to regions where restrictions aren't as strict, such as the U.S. Oh, thanks. And the the U.S., they'll let you create an AI and let it run rampant, facial recognizing everybody and giving them a social score that will inevitably lead to their lifelong imprisonment. And the anticipated compliance cost high-risk AI products will incur in the region, perhaps as much as 400,000 euros for high-risk systems, according to one U.S. think tank, could prevent initial investment too. So the argument goes, but I embrace the legislation and the risk-based approach the EU has taken. Why should I care? I live in the UK and my company HealX, which uses AI to help discover new treatment opportunities for rare diseases, is based in Cambridge. This autumn, the UK published its own national AI strategy, which has been designed to keep regulation at a minimum in air quotes, according to a minister, but no tech company can afford to ignore what goes on in the EU. EU General Data Protection Regulation, the GDPR, laws require just about every company with a website either side of the Atlantic to react and adapt to them when they're rolled out in 2016. It would be naive to think that any company with an international outlook won't run up against these proposed rules too. If you want to do business in Europe, you will still have to adhere to them from outside it. And for areas like health, this is incredibly important. The use of artificial intelligence in healthcare will almost inevitably fall under the high-risk label, and rightly so. Decisions that affect patient outcomes change lives. Mistakes at the very start of this new era could damage public perception irrevocably. We already know how well-intentioned AI healthcare initiatives can end up perpetuating structural racism, for instance. Left unchecked, they will continue to. That's why the legislation's focus on reducing bias in AI and setting a gold standard for building public trust is vital for the industry. If an AI system is fed patient data that does not accurately represent a target group, women and minority groups are often underrepresented in clinical trials, the results can be skewed. That damages trust, and trust is crucial in healthcare, and a lack of trust limits effectiveness. That's part of the blah, 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 blah. Let me skip down a little bit. I think we got caught in some of the minutia right there. Artificial intelligence has proven its potential to revolutionize healthcare, saving lives en route to becoming an estimated $200 billion industry by 2030. The next step won't just be to build on these breakthroughs, but to build trust so that they can be implemented safely without disregarding vulnerable groups and with clear transparency, so worried individuals can understand how a decision has been made. This is something that will always and should always be monitored. That's why we should take notice of all of the spirit of the EU's proposed AI legislation and embrace it wherever we operate. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, so the EU has a proposal out right now that would put some pretty serious limits on AI. And they've always been a bit ahead as far as this goes. We've been following not just the progression of this piece of legislation, but others like it that have been going on for 4 or 5 years. And they've always been sort of at the top of the pile when it comes to restricting AI over in the EU, which is very interesting because they use AI for a lot of things, a lot of things that we don't appreciate over here in the US, at least. One of them being they don't pull people over in a traditional sense. Like they don't necessarily have highway patrol like we have in the US. They just have thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of cameras all over the EU, where they just, hey, if you just drive by the camera and you're going too fast, it just bills you. It's like there's nothing. It just bills you immediately, which is kind of annoying if you're a tourist driving over in the EU. But they like that, but they don't like other parts of AI. So they're an interesting mix of trying to be level-headed about the allowance of implementation of AI, but also putting some barriers around it, at least at this point. What do you think?
Yeah, it's, well, the EU and the UN, I think the UN, what's his name, came out and said we need a moratorium on AI. But it is, it does really feel like hey, we know how to use AI. We will leverage it the way we want. We don't necessarily want a free market of AI developing out there. You know, because it comes off as like, oh, we need to protect, we need to make sure things are right. Meanwhile, aren't they leveraging a lot of EU states and governments and, you know, whatever? Aren't they already leveraging AI for the most part, or slowly integrating it into their governance?
They've at least started the process of exploring it. Estonia has done a bit of it. I know the Netherlands, they had the famous poll where they wanted AI in the government rather than humans.
Right.
Stuff like that. I'm not positive if any of that has actually been put in place or is common. But the Euros, they love AI over there, man.
Yeah, well, there's a whole list of companies that are out there that are pushing the AI stuff. There's an EU, or not an EU, but European emerging startup wave of AI companies. There's FlowX.ai, FairOwn, Bohemia Interactive Simulations, interesting name, and others. But anyway, yeah, I am not surprised they don't want open innovation because it could take out their governance in certain ways, I think.
Part of me thinks, too, that because these aren't just EU, like they're laws for the EU, and the EU has never really been the sort of most innovative space technologically.
Right.
I mean, even in Europe, it's usually Swedish companies or Norwegian companies or UK companies that are doing most of the innovation. Estonia being there are exceptions to that rule, but they're not necessarily like a Silicon Valley type area.
Right.
But it feels like they're put in this position where, because any company rolling out a product will eventually want to move into the EU, they kind of get to set the standards for places like the US.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
In sort of a gentle way, they can enforce these rules on the EU markets, but then it compels even US companies to try to meet those standards because they eventually want to go into the European market.
Yeah.
And so the EU kind of has a global reach as far as this, as far as making these rules goes.
They seem to be kind of like a first mover advantage type deal where, they have enough of a governance structure to start rolling out rules, and then it'll model it for everybody else, I guess. But
I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I mean, it's hard to argue with them. Don't you have some sort of like a Hegelian dialectic? This is all part of the master plan take on Europe's AI rules.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. They want their own, they will leverage it the way they see fit,
Yeah, but how does this help the 1984 Panopticon if they're limiting?
Because they can sort of control the development of it, the rollout. It's like
certainly
the same,
influence it.
Yeah, it's like the same as any other industry, electricity. We've talked about it before. It was between Tesla and like the Nikola Tesla.
But they're influencing it
Edison.
to be less spooky, it seems.
What's that? Sorry, I couldn't hear.
They're influencing it to be less spooky.
Less spooky. Yeah. No, it is interesting. They are sort of walking in as ethical police officers. Like, we will monitor.
Oh yeah,
it's like the time police. They just declare themselves the people that will make sure moral boundaries are kept or whatever. But
all right. Well, I'm looking at the time here, Gonz. You got one last thing for us?
One quick thing here.
Did you ever have the feeling that you were being watched?
This is countypress.co.uk. A lot of stuff from the UK today.
Mm-hmm.
And the headline here is Big Brother facing up to life with biometric surveillance. And it says here, it's more likely that your pictures are stored on your smartphone or uploaded to a server. Images of you, your family, and your friends swilling around the cloud. Oh, sorry, I should have read it from the beginning here. How many of you carry a photo of a loved one? An actual printed photograph of your child, significant other, or adorned pet? Paper curling at the edges, perhaps, but the twinkle in their eye still visible. It's more likely that your pictures are stored on a smartphone or uploaded to a server. Images of you, your family, and your friends swilling around the cloud. Candid holiday snapshots and swimwear. The unflattering stuff, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we get it. Our faces might exist in cyberspace, but they still belong to us. Don't they? Question mark. Until recently, Facebook and other image wrangling software allowed us to tag those known to us in photos. In doing so, we unwittingly helped train and improve facial recognition algorithms. No kidding. We've been saying that for a while. I think we mentioned that in a very early episode of Canary Cry Radio.
I was going to say, I've been on that train since 2012, where everybody thought I was crazy for Facebook.
By installing front-facing cameras on our phones, companies have warmed up to the seemingly helpful concept of using our faces as a key. We can passively unlock our devices without the need to remember yet another pesky number or password. Oh, such a hassle to punch in numbers on your phone. Sorry, I have the thing with that because I still don't use this facial recognition thing. Many of you might be indifferent to or even advocate for a national visual identification system, citing, quote, if you have nothing to hide, what's the harm? Biometric COVID-19 vaccination passports may come into this category. There it is. But what if you simply fancy going off-grid and buying an indulgent bar of chocolate, flowers for your clandestine lover, or a tot of alcohol without being digitally captured? It's much harder than it seems. My own face displayed incredulity the other day when in the supermarket at the self-checkout I realized it wasn't just my groceries which were being scanned. As I looked up from the basket, I saw my wide eyes staring back at me from a screen above the till. What was going on? Why was my mundane transaction on camera, then projected back at me by intrusive technology? In the before times, you could go to a shop, take an item to the till, and pay cash, all steps anonymous. No loyalty card marketing analysis, no contactless banking to leave a trail of digital breadcrumbs, and certainly not an unconsented image of my shopping face. Supermarkets say facial recognition technology allows them to minimize the impact of crimes and improve safety for staff. The Information Commissioner's Office is rightly concerned about the private sector operating this technology in a quasi-law enforcement capacity. Privately run surveillance systems in shops are not necessarily affiliated to the police. It begs the question, if fingerprint and face identification data must be collected, is it better to be by the police or private companies? How about the council or social media platforms? I can remember when Big Brother's all-seeing eye was the stuff of science fiction. Yet this week I learned that in North Ayrshire, children queuing for their school meals are only fed once their compliant face has been scanned and verified by the robot dinner lady. Normalizing children to biometric surveillance for such a commonplace transaction? I'm not sure I can face it. And Basil, I think the mainstream, the division here, it's always been a thing, right? The right-left paradigm, the divide and conquer. I think the division that will be caused by the topics we've been talking about for a decade here, it really is starting to hit the mainstream. And we will start seeing people decide whether to participate in like this crazy Orwellian technocracy surveillance state or not. You know, and it's going to cause all kinds of disruptions.
And it's coming in as gently as any other sort of
frog in the kettle approach. Yeah, it feels very tame. Or
where at one point somebody would, call you crazy for thinking this is something that would need to be dealt with. It's sneaking into mainstream society through social engineering and media so subtly that it's suddenly like an obvious conversation to have. It's just sort of taking shape around us all the time.
I know, it's pretty wild. So anyway, on that high note, no AI here.
Not yet.
Not yet. At least running the podcast. We have very low levels of algorithms on our computer machines here doing things, but it's still human operated. I still have to click on a button.
Aliens.
To get any sound.
Aliens.
For now.
Aliens.
All right, everybody. That's it. We did it. We did another one. Thanks for tuning into this episode. I know. Of Canary Cry News Talk. We'll be back again someday. Yes, we'll be figuring out what we will be doing on Wednesday and Friday. There's a little bit of traveling happening for the Thanksgiving season, so it may be one of those things where we, record while I'm parked in a parking lot in front of Starbucks or something. or we may have some special stuff for you coming out. Either way, thank you so much for keeping this show going and producing this episode of Canary Cry News Talk, episode 414. And remember, we will continue to need producers for future episodes. So depending on what the schedule looks like this week, if it's one of these things where we're putting out recorded episodes, we will save up thanking producers. But I would say at this point, probably expect a show on, or a live show on Wednesday. But we'll keep you posted on the social media and stuff. But thank you to all the producers who make this show happen, including the producers who made this episode happen, episode 414. And that's our executive producers, Vincent B. and Derek R. Thank you very much. And of course, our associate executive producer, Juan A. And thank you to our calendar producers, 2022 calendar producers, Catherine D., Jacqueline P., JC, Courtney M., Scott K., and Jeremy H. And of course, thank you to the rest of our producers, 57 Chevy Girl, Morph, Jack V., Amanda P., Gail M., Sir Samon's Knight of the Fishes, Sir Casey the Shield Knight, Heather Russ, Runk Smash, Scott K., Jackie U., Veronica D., Ciara, Green Mountaineer, Doctor Who Dundat, and Child of God. And remember, you can become a producer of the show by heading on over to patreon.com/CCNT, or even better, CanaryCryRadio.com/support.
CanaryCryRadio.com/support.
That's right. Thank you, everybody. But if financially producing the show is not in the cards for you, that's okay. You can go ahead and produce in other ways, such as creating art, creating jingles or music. Remember, we got the Canary Cry mixtape at the end of the show here. Whatever you do, create something for the show and send it in to CanaryCryRadio@gmail.com or CanaryCryRadio@protonmail.com. And remember to leave ratings and reviews. It's incredibly helpful to activate those algorithms, to share the show with people who have never heard it before. And we have no control over it. It's all you producers. So please head on over to Apple Podcasts. If you have any Apple device, a tablet, a computer, or a phone, go ahead and search Apple Podcasts on your phone. It's a purple icon. Click on that, search for Canary Cry News Talk, subscribe, and then leave a rating and a review. Of course, as always, I'm honor bound to read them live on the air, and thank you for those who have been leaving ratings and reviews. And for those who haven't, I look forward to thanking you soon. So please do it. It only takes about 2 minutes. And it really helps the show out. And of course, head on over to CanaryCryMeetups.com. See if there's a meetup happening around you. And if there's not, just put one on yourself. It's easy, it's fun, and really invaluable in times such as these. And you can also help out the show by sharing it. You can share the show, share it with your friends and your family. Just text it to them. Thanksgiving's coming around. You're going to get into weird conversations. I know you, listener. And so make sure to sign up for the newsletter so you can get all of our sources sent directly to your inbox, and share these things with your friends and family. They will be much more open to hearing your crazy theories if you can back it up with mainstream corporate news sources. And that's what that newsletter is for. But, hey, if you make any headway, you can let people know to check out the show. It's an excellent time to share the show with your weird uncle who's open to this kind of thing, or, whoever. Your not so weird uncle, too. He probably needs it. So either way, just let people know about the show. Share it on your social media. Remember, it doesn't matter if you don't have a lot of followers or not. It's all about those algorithms, baby. It helps us out a ton. And you can share the show in lots of different ways. I mean, you don't have to do it these easy, simple ways. You can be creative. Remember, it's Thanksgiving. Somebody's got to cook that turkey. Why don't you volunteer to help out mom or auntie to cooking that turkey? Just ask them if you can do the stuffing. And then they'll be like, okay, wow, they've never offered to help before. And then, or maybe you are the turkey cooker, whatever the case may be. You got to get your hands on this turkey, folks. Download an episode of the podcast, to put it on your phone, put it on speakerphone. Just start playing one of the recent episodes. Stick that phone right into the turkey. Cover it up with the bread, put the turkey in the oven, and as the turkey slowly cooks in the oven, turning golden brown, reminding you to be thankful for the bounty that God has given you and the United States of America. Canary Cry News Talk will be playing softly from the oven, and the sounds, the news, the vibes, they'll be going right into that sweet turkey meat, the white meat, the dark meat, the crispy skin. Make sure to baste it, and then remember to cover it. If it starts getting too crispy on the outside, put some tinfoil over it. But that tinfoil will help keep all the juicy, truthy goodness that mainstream media, corporate news media, deconstruction and analysis, keep it all locked in there with the juices. And then when you carve it up, as that knife slides into right past the crispy skin into that juicy breast meat, suddenly coming forth from the turkey will be jingles, there'll be news, there'll be polls, there will be art and all sorts of good stuff, and the truth will explode all over your Thanksgiving table. That's just one way that you can share the show. You don't have to do it that way, but it's certainly viable if somebody had enough know-how and the motivation to share the truth with their family there. Anyways, you don't got to do it that way. Some people do. We like to call it rattling cages. And if anybody has any, if you need any other instructions, here's what you do. You walk right up, you grab them by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted. I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! Don't ever silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah. Gonz, any last words?
No. Thank you for another episode. Have a blessed evening, and we'll see you probably Wednesday.
Probably Wednesday. That's true. And you knew this was going to happen, folks. Don't you worry. I was running one last poll for the show. Excellent. And it was a would you rather. Would you rather marry a robot, share a prison cell with a Nephilim, or foster a lizard person child? 24% would marry the robot, 25% would share the prison cell with a Nephilim, and 49% would foster that sweet, sweet little lizard person child. So keep that in mind as you go into the Thanksgiving season, everybody. All right, thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time, but until then, think outside the cage.
We're all gonna die.
Give me a break. Feed him more.
I'll keep it warm and safe in my people zoo.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
I want to shake things up, shake things up. I want to shake things up, shake things up. Leave the bird alone. I want to stir up some controversy. I want to rattle a few cages. I want to rattle a few cages. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. A crusader for the little guy. Little guy. Little guy. Well, we'll see about that.
Whatever, Illuminati.
I am vaccine. I am vaccine.
Science is truth.
God has taken his place in the divine council. In the midst of the gods he holds judgment. How long will you so-called gods judge unjustly and show partiality to the wicked? You are to give justice to the weak and the fatherless, Maintain the right of the afflicted and the destitute. Rescue the weak and the needy. Deliver them from the hand of the wicked. They have neither knowledge nor understanding. They walk about in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are shaken. I said, you are gods, sons of the Most High, all of you. Nevertheless, like men you shall die, and fall like any prince. Arise, O God, judge the earth, for you shall inherit all the nations. Let the heavens praise your wonders, O Lord, your faithfulness in the assembly of the holy ones. For who in the skies can be compared to the Lord? Who among the heavenly beings is like the Lord? A God greatly to be feared in the council of the holy ones, and awesome above all who are around him. O Lord God of hosts, who is mighty as you are, O Lord, with your faithfulness all around you. You rule the raging of the sea. When its waves rise, you still them. You crushed Rahab like a carcass. You scattered your enemies with your mighty arm. The heavens are yours. The earth also is yours. The world and all that is in it, you have founded them.
Pay them more. Give me a break.
I am Vaccine.
You do not know what you are talking about.
Fun fact, I believe it was another fun fact.
I am Vaccine.
Fun fact.
We're all gonna die.
Another fun fact.
Brings me back to my Screamo days.
In the future, humans will be confined in a people's zoo.
I'll keep you safe and warm in my people's zoo. I'll keep you safe and warm now in my people's zoo. You, yeah, you in my people's zoo. I'll keep the cameras on.
Even read their Bible, for heaven's sakes. Demonic power. And melt those babies into candles.
Stop this progress before it is too late.
Congratulations, you are being rescued. Please do not resist.
I'll make you fat and sassy in my people's zoo.
Everybody loves waffles.
I'll make you fat and sassy in my people's zoo.
Vaccinations.
You, yeah, you, yeah, you, in my people's zoo.
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo.
Do not come back, you Nazi psychopaths.
It's all coming together.